few different types of topics we're going to get into right now. Jake Paul set to fight Francis Ngannou, Nate Diaz. We don't know yet. Now, what about the UFC's heavyweight division? We're going to talk about all of that right now in just a second. So I'm going to get the thumbnail going for this live stream, and then we're going to get it on and cracking right now in this Sunday night, which, by the way, I believe is going to be what I believe is daylight saving time victory. Shout out to you, my man. You know what? What's his name? Froch has been asking about you. He said specifically that you have been kidnapped by the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, I don't know if that's the best idea in the world to be talking about kidnappings or anything like that in the beginning of like the first minute of this live stream, but we're gonna see how it plays out anyway. You've had other lives? No. It was well, I did have one earlier, but I put it onto what I believe was you know, a members only afterwards. I was just kind of testing it out because, you know, I finally got a new microphone, obviously, due to the demands of you know, of all of that going on. So I got a new microphone. You know, I got a whole bunch of you know, different stuff that I've been experimenting with. But earlier I did a live stream that I put on what do you call it, on a members only, just to kind of test it out. It was, you know, sort of testing out my microphone and whatnot. So yeah, you know, just kind of testing some equipment out and this and that and the other. So I believe it was what video was it where Froch had said you were kidnapped by the Muslim Brotherhood? Oh yes, here it is. It's the Ronda Rousey video that I did, right? This is what Homeboy said about you. Right, so who will Jake fight? What happened to Tank? Why are Bisping and DC running damage control for Tom after Waldo has fought? Man, let me tell you, I think this guy is, you know, trying to be my next publicist, but shout out to you, man. He says, and has Marty Miller been kidnapped by the Muslim Brotherhood? Breaking news, Kyrie is going live in a minute with, get this, you know, a new equipment. He is so right about everything, right? He is absolutely right about everything. He says, read this comment if you're a good boy. Okay, I mean, you know, kind of, you know, a childish, you know, notion there that, okay, because if I read this comment, I'm your good boy, and by what you mean by that, I have no idea. But on any regard, man, guys, shout out to everybody across the world. I'm going to put on a thumbnail for this right here. I'm going to put some description in, and we're going to talk about a whole wide range of different topics. Obviously, the main topic right now is, he says, well, Froch is in the CIA. He knows his stuff. You know what, man? I'm starting to believe he might be, right? Because, well, all right, let me put it like this, okay? Listen, Marty, if there's one person in the world that would not get kidnapped by the Muslim Brotherhood, it would be you, okay? Because I would not allow it to happen, okay? I'd make a phone call, and I'd be like, listen, you got to let my white boy from Ohio go, man. You know, what do you guys do? I'm kidding, guys. I'm absolutely joking. That is a joke. That's, yeah, please, that is a joke. For those that are really in the intelligence service and all of that, please don't come after me. I am a podcaster from California, and, you know, just like everything else in Washington, none of you guys take anything that California does or says seriously. So why start with me, you know, from that very, you know, from that very notion? But on any regard, yeah, very funny of him to suggest that you were kidnapped by, you know, the, out of all groups, the Muslim Brotherhood, right? Because, I mean, listen, all right, let's not go there, okay? Because we're not trying to, you know, get demonetized around here. But on any regard, man, shout out to you, shout out to everybody. We got some real interesting topics to talk about today. And let me just put some description on this one right here. Let's see here. All right, so there we are. Now we got the topics going on right there. So, okay. All right. Obviously, the eye pokes, right? Has this exposed Tom Aspinall in any kind of way? And a lot of people are saying that that is the case. However, there are people out there that are saying this eye poke was accidental. It was a little bit different than that of Tom Aspinall in comparison to Cyril Gane. There's also these other aspects of whether Cyril Gane really meant to do it. And the question is, did Ante mean to do it, considering that he is Tom Aspinall's training partner? Not only is he Tom Aspinall's training partner, did he get the idea from that fight and said, you know what? Honestly, I don't think any fighter really means to poke anybody, right? But Demetrius Johnson did make a good point when he said that whenever you throw a roundhouse kick in Muay Thai, right, your hands are like this, like you're basically waving your hands away, kind of like if you look at the trophy right here, right? If you notice, this guy right here is swinging his arm back as he is throwing the kick with his lead leg, and the same thing goes if you're throwing on the other side. He says, yeah, I was going to say there's no way he did it on purpose. No, I don't think anybody meant to do it on purpose, although if it is a part of your game, maybe it might be if it is a part of your game. But if it is a part of your game, I mean, it's a very short-sighted type of method, if you really think about it. Now, why would that be a short-sighted method? Well, think about this, right? If you were to poke somebody, the action would be stopped immediately. Now, you're sort of gambling on the idea that it's going to create an advantage for you. It may or it may not create an advantage for you. You never know. You never know how that is going to play out. Now, in the fight between Stipe and DC, that worked out. That worked out perfectly fine. They both actually poked each other on 2 separate fights. So, I don't think they meant to do it, but when you look at DC, and he said and admitted that he's cheated in the past, he's also admitted to have sort of tampered with the scales, okay, and has also admitted to saying that one of his wrestling coaches, I believe it was John Smith, right, a famous American wrestling coach and a famous American wrestler, for those of you that don't know who John Smith is, right, one of the most... Anybody who's ever wrestled in America, right, who's grew up wrestling in high school, middle school, high school, and college, you've heard of the name John Smith, just like you've heard of the name Gable Stevenson, just like you've heard of the name Dan Gable, who Gable Stevenson is named after. By the way, shout out to Gable Stevenson and his 15-second knockout in John Jones's Dirty Boxing promotion. Very interesting concept they have going on there. Boxing with a little bit of ground and pound, and also boxing with a little bit of dirty boxing, and basically it's boxing gladiator style with no kicks, right? If you guys ever seen the 1980s or 90s movie Gladiator, it's about this white boy who moved to the city of Chicago, and then he gets into this underground fighting ring, by the way, co-starred by none other than the star of Boys in the Hood and many other movies. Of course, I would reference Boys in the Hood because that's one of my favorite movies. It is Boys in the Hood, right, with Cuba Gooding. He was also featured in that movie, Gladiator. So it's very similar, right? They do a lot of off-the-wall things that's outside of the rule set of boxing. He says, yeah, it's a good rule set, lots of action. Yes. Yes. Now, will it gain traction in the near future? Who knows, right? But there's going to come a point where combat sports becomes extremely saturated, right? Obviously, boxing will always be king in terms of fighting sports. And I know that a lot of hardcore MMA guys may not like to hear that, but please understand that we got our prize fighting culture of MMA from the world of boxing, right? In the days of Royce Gracie, there were no rules. You could even eye gouge. You could even punch in the nuts if you wish to do so, right? So all of that. He says, Oh, whoa, let's try this. Add a Q&A sticker, want to read minds. What is this? So, start a Q&A. Okay, let's start a Q&A. What Q&A are we going to, what is this? Okay, never mind. How do I end this right here? What is this? Hold on a second here. Yeah, those stickers are new into YouTube. I guess they help create interaction. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah to you, brother. Man, I want to get rid of this, but what is, how do I get rid of this? Okay, there we go. We got rid of it. All right. I guess you had to drag it down a little bit. Okay. So, all right. I guess I wanted to try it, but it was, yeah, I just didn't want it to get, you know, distract me from the, you know, from what we had going on. But, okay, what was I saying? Hold on. Let me rewind back what I was saying. You know, when some content creators forgot what they were saying in the middle of what they were doing, this is what you do. You just go and replay. I don't know why nobody thought of this. Just go and replay back what you had said. Let's see what I said here earlier. From what we had going on, but okay, well, see, a gladiator. So it's very similar, right? They do a lot of off-the-wall things that's outside of the rule set of boxing. He says, yeah, it's a good rule set. Okay, so I think you were talking about boxing being the king of combat sports. He says, yes, look, Miller is back, huh? Imagine that. Yeah, man, you know, you suggesting that he got kidnapped by the Muslim Brotherhood, that's hilarious. All right. So, okay, so yes, boxing is king out of all combat sports. Now, the reason for that, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah barakatuh to you, Faraz. Mainstream Miller, Fresh Melon Juice says. So, yes, it is the king of combat sports because of the history that is behind boxing, okay? Now, I don't know if that's the reason why Jake Paul chose boxing as a sport of choice, but I kind of know how he got there, right, with Jake Paul. How he got there. Well, his brother went to Japan, and you guys know this story. Let me know on the chat below if you guys are familiar with how Logan Paul was canceled back in 2017. Let me know in the comment section below. This is, by the way, very important to understand the career of Jake Paul to sort of get to the story that we're going to get at right here, right? Let me know if you guys have heard of Logan Paul getting canceled in 2017. By the way, another Ohio guy right there, right? You know, Ohio has, you know, people don't like to admit this, but, you know, Ohio has a lot of talented people that come out of that part of the United States. And I know, as a West Coast guy and as a guy that grew up in the East Coast, so that basically makes me somewhat of a bi-coastal prick in the eyes of, you know, many people in the Midwest or the South and whatnot. I kind of have this supremacy idea that, well, the West Coast is more superior than anybody in the world, and at least within the United States, and the East Coast is as well. And, you know, sometimes we often overlook people from the Midwest, like Terrence Crawford. Look at what part of the United States he's from. You know, Terrence Crawford is not a West Coast ninja. He's not an East Coast ninja. He's not a Southern ninja. He's a Midwest ninja, right? And oftentimes he was so overlooked by, you know, by people around the world, right? Nobody ever believed in him. Even, what's his name? Bob Arum, right? Bob Arum let him go because Bob Arum felt like he could not promote him in any kind of way, right? He was basically a boring Midwestern guy in, you know, the eyes of others. But here's something you guys gotta understand. It's only in the movies where they make an Apollo Creed that is from Los Angeles, right? It is only in the video games where they make a character in Fight Night Boxing like Isaac Frost from part of, let's say, you know, the New York, or actually he's from San Diego, so he's a West Coast character. Mark Haney, shout out to you, my man. He says, the Midwest is where people from the coast go when their hopes and dreams die. Let me read that again. The Midwest is where people from the coast go to when their hopes and dreams die. Bahaha. Oh, wow. Okay, you know what? There's some truth to that, isn't there? Mark Haney says, yo, what's up, everyone? Okay, shout out to you on that. You know what? Is that something that you often notice? You know what? Here's the thing, Mark. I think you as a West Coast guy, you kind of understand this, right? Whenever I see, let's say, you know, a white person, right? If they move out of California, usually their whole entire premise behind that is because, hey, you know what? California's taxes are too high. And then on top of that, there's the white flight theory where many white people want to move out of, let's say, you know, a hostile part of the country, whether that's New York, Chicago, or, you know, California. They would move for those reasons. But for minorities, if you move out of California, if you're a minority and you move out of California, and especially if you come from a gang neighborhood, my first impression is that you probably snitched on somebody in your hood. You know what I mean? Like, man, Las Vegas is full of guys that are from, like, West Coast gangs, in particular California gangs, and then they moved out there when they go to a witness protection program or when they snitch on their whole entire set or gang and this and that. But speaking of gang and all of that, I don't know if you guys heard, let me know, anybody in the comment section below, if you heard about Big U's son, the former gang leader of Nipsey Hussle and a former, you know, producer. I don't know if you want to call him that. I mean, he seems more of like an extortionist in a kind of way where he sort of just, yeah. He says, Mark says, exactly, now you know why I said what I said, LOL. There you go. Okay, so witness protection program is also a part of that reason why people from the coast move to the Midwest. But if we're talking about overall American sports, you often notice that some of the most talented people come from that part of the United States. Okay, now, obviously, Big U, right? His son... Big U, the Rolling 60s leader, his son, I believe, plays for either the Chargers or the Los Angeles Rams. I believe the Rams, right? Let me know in the comment section below. Iowa and the Hawkeyes. Yes, Iowa with some of the best wrestling programs in all of the United States. In fact, John Jones and Colby Covington were part of that program. And I don't know, I think something happened with Colby where he got kicked out. Some sort of infraction during college that got him kicked out. But okay, was going on a tangent there about people with Ohio. My original point was that Logan Paul is from Ohio. He got canceled back in 2017 because he made a video where he went to Japan. And when he went to Japan, he filmed a forest that was known to have people who unalived themselves. Okay? So it was a forest where people went to go unalive themselves, and as a result, this got Logan Paul canceled. So here comes KSI, which comes into this story of Andrew Tate buying the Misfits boxing promotions, right? I believe KSI fought this guy named Joe Weller. He's also another UK YouTuber. So it was basically UK versus UK beef he had going on with this guy named Joe Weller, right? So after he beat up Joe Weller in this boxing match, right, KSI, who does he call out? He calls out Logan Paul, Jake Paul. In fact, let me see if I can pull up that video. This is basically the start of Jake Paul's boxing career right here. This one right here. I'm going to show you. Is there anything you want to say to someone else? You said you want to call someone out. Well, you can't stop us call someone out. There we go. Give you guys context, this was in 2017, okay? 2017, there's True Jordy right there with the suit on. and this and that. Yeah. So, like the idiot that KSI is, he thought, you know what, this guy is never going to answer me because he's in shambles right now. Okay, Logan Paul right now is in shambles, at least at this time during 2017, right? He is in absolute shambles. He got his sponsorship taken away. All of these famous people, like The Rock and all these other famous celebrities, basically stopped giving Logan any type of attention or any type of clout, and they basically unfriended him. All of his sponsorships got taken away. Boxing was the only thing that was going to save the career of Logan Paul. Well, lo and behold, they decided to have a brother-on-brother fight, right? Oh, KJ Butler oh, wow, okay, gifting some memberships here. Okay, shout-outs to you, my man. All right. Shout-outs to KJ Butler. All right, man. You know, and a little bit of an off comment that, you know, I would rather not read. But on any regard, yeah, that's what started the career of Logan Paul. After that career got started, all of a sudden, okay, now Jake Paul comes into the mix. Okay? He fights the brother of KSI, which is Deji. And then the rest was history from there. That's what started the career of Jake Paul, right? Was this call out right here. This video is literally what made Jake Paul's boxing career right here. This right here is literally what changed boxing. This right here changed the world of professional boxing right here. And the two men that were involved in changing the world of professional boxing wasn't even in this event yet, and that is Jake Paul and Logan Paul. Well, not so much Logan. He made his own impact in the WWE, but yes, it is, you know, yes, that is what it is. So, you know, shout out to you, KJ Butler, my man. Logan Paul! Yeah, so that right there is what changed the world of professional boxing. Now all of a sudden, Jake Paul leaves LA. He starts training in Puerto Rico, starts getting all these fights, starts winning these fights. And there it is. Fresh Melon Juice says, KSI is greater than Muhammad Ali. How dare you? How dare you? In what way? In what way is he greater than Muhammad Ali? In terms of impact, in terms of what? What exactly, yeah, how exactly would you, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know why you would say that, but on any regard. So now, Jake Paul, all the criticisms that he's had, you're fighting older men, you're fighting guys that are not your size, and then he goes in and tries to fight, you know, KSI. He says, his forehead. Oh, okay, so you're saying that his forehead is greater. He says, what the F? That's a crazy comment, Todd Nelson says. See, there you go, man. Todd Nelson, I've never heard from you here before. I'm sure you're probably a listener. And here it is, man. Fresh Melon Juice, shout out to you. You made somebody who probably doesn't comment regularly on this channel, right? Probably just watches it. I know there's a lot of people out there that do that. But now you finally got him to, you know, comment. Everybody welcome Todd Nelson. Shout outs to you, my man. He said, is it true Gervonta Davis is out of the Jake Paul fight? Yes, it is, Todd. Unfortunately, it is true. And the reason why is because he's got a domestic case going on right now. And all of a sudden, kind of weird, don't you think? All of a sudden, Jake Paul starts throwing all this money towards, you know, Gervonta Davis like tricks at a strip club. And all of a sudden, they come out the woodwork and say, we're gonna send charges your way, and then we're gonna have you pulled out of the fight and get you canceled. I mean, that is some hater-ass-ish. He says, Kyrie, if you've seen him without his headband, you would agree. Oh, I've seen KSI with his headband before. I believe with some video that I've seen him with his headband off. Yeah, it is rather weird. You know what I mean? I think that he does take it off during his fights. I would imagine that you would have to, obviously. But yeah, okay. So now, the whole world of professional boxing has changed, right? Because Jake Paul now enters. He's now fighting Gervonta Davis, right? Which, by the way, is sort of one extreme to another. Now, look, the other choice that they got right now is Francis Ngannou, right? That is why you see Francis Ngannou in the thumbnail of this, live stream right now, because that is the possibility. Now, look, what's crazy about this is Francis Ngannou is in the center of all this story that we are talking about right now. KSI has mastered Taekwondo boxing. Facts. You know who has a similar style to that is Prince Nassim, right? You know, even myself, if you've seen me, do some boxing workouts, where I just do straight punches, I literally, he trains with MVP. There you go. That explains a lot. Okay. So, yes, he trains at London Shoot Fighters, which is kind of unusual, considering that, it's London Shoot Fighters. It's an MMA gym, so I don't know, man. And it's also the home of Lee Abraham Murray. So, yeah, I don't know why he would pick that particular, gym. But I guess if it works for him, it works for him. That's the way it is. Okay, so now Jake Paul has kind of surpassed this whole influencer boxing thing, right? KSI is not even in the category of Jake Paul right now, right? And it's not to say that Jake Paul is in world championship category, but he's a lot closer than KSI, wouldn't you say? Way closer than KSI, considering the fact that KSI has only been fighting regular people, right? He was supposed to fight Dylan Dennis. He pulled out. Dylan Dennis said that he kind of faked his sickness. He didn't believe him, for whatever that's worth. But, yeah, man. Yeah, really interesting stuff, man. So now, Jake Paul is going to fight Francis Ngannou possibly, right? And for those of you that have said that, you know what, maybe Jake Paul is scared to fight real people or is scared to fight people his own size, maybe this notion right here is going to end all that. Francis Ngannou, not exactly the most talented boxer out there. He's 0-2 in boxing right now, right? And there's some criticisms to that, but on paper, that would actually be, well, you know what? You know how they say there's a 50-50 fights? This fight would be 60-40. 60 on the part of Francis Ngannou and 40 on the part of Jake. And I only give the 60 to Francis Ngannou because he is much stronger, much bigger, and I would argue is the more experienced combat athlete. Victory says if he fights Francis, it will definitely end a lot of criticism. See, I don't know about that. It would end a lot of criticism for you and me, okay? Because we're hardcore fans. We know what Francis Ngannou can do. We've been watching Francis Ngannou for years, okay? A lot of these people, how do I say this? They are post-pandemic fans, okay? Post-pandemic fans. He says, yeah, probably not from the boxing old heads. Yes. Okay, so that's a community right there that would not believe it. And you know what? Jake Paul has managed to create this lane where he is a boxing guy that has an MMA audience. He says, yeah, for sure. Going up against Francis demands respect because it can change his brain forever. Ooh, yeah, that is true. That is true. But this is what I'm saying, Fresh. You're an MMA guy, right? At least, from the way that you present your knowledge to the sport. You know, you're more of an MMA guy. It's look, this is what I'm saying, right? We have Jake's back as MMA people. That's really what it is. We got Jake's back, but for the boxing people, they find him absolutely reprehensible. That's the thing about it. They find him absolutely reprehensible for multitudes of reasons. Hold on, let me take care of something real quick. All right. Sorry there. I had to close, no, not a snack break. I had to close my window because as you know, it is daylight savings time now and it got darker outside. It is it's about to be 6 p.m. It's 5:33 right now in the West Coast and it's already dark. So UN94 says, I just found out I'm colorblind. The news came out of the purple. I just found out I'm colorblind. The news came out of the purple. Ah, okay. Why don't you want to say blue? I'm kind of offended. You know, you don't want to say blue. You know what I mean? Like, came out of the purple. It's come out of the blue. But anyways, Francis knocked down Tyson Fury with a mediocre strike. The boxing world did see that. You know what, man? Yeah, I got to see what the boxing people have to say about this because that's definitely, you know, yeah, that is definitely, you know, a factor right there. He says the patient 1134 with a whole bunch of rainbow signs. Yeah, I don't know why you have that up there, but I can tell you that a certain community hijacked the idea of rainbows and made it into something that is just... yeah, reprehensible in terms of I don't know. I don't want to get into that because you know what kind of conversation that leads to. But yeah, you know what I mean. Anyways, man, yeah, I do hope Francis Ngannou does get the fight. I just saw a friend of mine. Well, actually, you guys might probably know him. The hardcore fans know who he is. He's Nam Pham, right? He just posted right here. He says, I hope Francis Ngannou gets the fight. I do hope so too. The patient says here, J's for ponytails. David Rodriguez says, why are all MMA experts overweight? Who is overweight that's an MMA expert? Are you talking about John Morgan? Are you talking about what do you call it? Are you talking about John Morgan, MMA Guru, MMA Joey? Herbilges says, U of H rainbows. He says, fresh. He's about to go off. We're all my GA fight fans. Okay. Fresh Melon Juice says, yeah, it's on. Fresh, he's about to go off. Go off on who exactly? Like, who am I going to go off of? Do you have any idea who I'm going to go off of? Huh? Who am I going to go off of? Is it David Rodriguez, right? Like, are you calling me an MMA expert? And then also, are you suggesting David for talking about being overweight? Yeah, David, look, I don't think you understand, bro. This is, like, do you not understand camera angles? Like, if I stood up right now, I'm far from overweight, my man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't... like, this is what is considered overweight to you? Bro, like, bro, listen, if I saw you in real life, I would stand over you like this, okay? And you would do absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? I would stand over you like this, and I'd be like, what was all that stuff you were saying on the internet? Huh? And then I'd have 5 guys behind me, okay, strapped up. I don't even want to go there because, he says, yeah, look good to me, bud. There you go, right? There it is. He says, this dork, Loke, 400. Who is that? Who are you talking about, Loke? And, yeah, whatever, man. Loke, 4,400. He says, how much you weigh? I fluctuate between maybe the most that I could weigh is 205 205, 207, and then mostly I walk around like 195 to 198 at most. And I'm 6 feet tall. So yeah, that's the most that I'm at. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So if that's overweight to you, I don't know what kind of standard you're looking at. He says, I weigh 63 pounds. I'm thick. Okay. I don't know. What do you mean 63 pounds? Did you mean 63 kilograms? Or you I mean, 63 pounds, that's quite small. You know, you must be a kid of some sort. But on any regard, it says I'm 5'10". That's my weight range. Okay. Okay. So, well, notice how David Rodriguez has nothing to say now. Where are you at, David Rodriguez? David Rodriguez. What hood you claim, fool? What hood you claim, fool? I weigh 63 pounds, literally, and I'm 6'2". Okay, I think you're exaggerating about weighing 62 pounds. I'm sure what you mean by that is you're a 6'2" guy who is very skinny. Very similar to, what's that boxer's name that fights at 154 and he's 6'7", Fandora, right? He's like a 6'7" boxer, but he fights at like 155 or 154 in boxing. You imagine 6'7" at 155 pounds. So Brad Lang says Sebastian. What does that mean? Herb says I'm muscular and a bit of a belly I can lose in a month. Fandora is on juice. Huh, you think Fandora is on juice? What is your proof of that? He says, I'm all skin. I weigh 62 pounds. All right, we get it, buddy. We now understand the weight that you are at. Okay, so the other subject. Oh, Sebastian Fandora. Oh, okay. You're talking about Sebastian Fandora. Got it. Yes, Fandora. Yes, yeah, man. 6'7", right? 154 pounds. That's crazy. He says the weight, come on, dude. Okay, you're talking about him saying he's 62 pounds. Yeah, he's obviously exaggerating. When he said 62, I thought he meant, kilograms. Okay, let's hear what Waldo had to say here. He says, I'm going to say this in a Dominican accent, okay? I'm born in Dominican Republic. Everything is war over there. One poke in eye, everything that happened in my life, this can't stop me. I'll never let one eye poke, I lose one opportunity that can change my life and my family's. That's Waldo Cortez Acosta. He says, Herb says 6'4". The patient says, have you heard of the German painter turned knockout artist? Yes, I know who the German painter is. Yes, trust me, I know. You know what, guys? You want me to, I'm going to reveal a little secret for you guys right now, right? This could probably get me, really canceled on the internet, but I'm going to tell you guys something, okay? I had family members in that time period that have fought for that side, okay? And you're probably wondering, well, you're not German. How is that possible? Okay, I'm going to show you guys a video right now that shows a little bit of some history of Palestine. I'm going to show you what I mean by that, okay? Let's see, what is this? Okay. Right here. Okay, let me show you.
Who was Mufti Amin al-Husseini? What was his relationship with Hitler? Why did Hitler promise to liberate Palestine from the Jews and grant independence to all Arab countries if he won the war? Who was Mufti Amin al-Husseini? What was his relationship with Hitler? Why did Hitler promise to liberate Palestine from the Jews?
Okay, so that gives you a little bit of context. Yes, I've had family members that were on that side of the fence, but I've also had family members on the American side of the fence, being that I'm of Pacific Islander descent, so Arab and Pacific Islander descent. So yeah, He says, NYC needs Sharia law. Wow. Okay. Well, let me know why you feel that way, Daniel, and if you understand anything about, Sharia law. Brad says, yeah, that size brings trouble way too much for a reach. Right, and Fandora was supposed to fight Errol Spence, right? That would have been a very fun fight. Herb says, no, I meant Fandora has to be placed on juice at that weight and height. No way. And he's with Al Heyman. Okay, very interesting point, right? A certain recovery mechanism that he needs. I could see that. Brad says, Fandora does get hurt often. That is his weakness. Got a glass jaw, but not strong on the other. He says, Republican Vance says, yo, Kyrie, shout out to you, Republican Vance. Man, listen, scandalous, JD Vance. Scandalous is JD Vance, man. That's all I gotta say. You guys know what I'm talking about. On the dead homies, JD Vance is not only scandalous, but he's proven to be a real Marine, okay? Let me just say that right now, okay? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't want to, further elaborate on that. Patient says Mike Tyson versus Martin Luther King, no juice, who wins? I think that Martin Luther King puts Mike Tyson to sleep and then puts him in a dream. I have a dream that Mike Tyson is dreaming about me knocking him out. He says, yup, JD, yup, Vance smashing for real, homie. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about, right? Just scandalous, man. That is scandalous. But, what can you say, right? Some women out there can't resist a man in uniform. And not only that, he is a Marine by the end of the day. And if you know anything about Marines, you know what's funny about the Marine Corps, right? They often tell us about this guy named Jody. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. They often, say in boot camp, oh, well, Jody is at home banging your girl or doing this and that and the other, right? Well, JD Vance is being a Jody. He says he dressed as his meme. Yeah, you know what, man? Listen. Did you see his Halloween costume? I did. You know what? JD Vance, this is why I like the idea that we're going to have a young leader, right? I told you that JD Vance is my age, right? So that means that we probably were serving right around the same time frame or so, right? He's, a war on terror era Marine, so that is... yeah, man, you know what? We're right around the same age. So he understands this culture, this internet culture. He's tapped into all of this, right? He's very well versed in that in ways that maybe Donald Trump is not. Although Donald Trump is, somewhat of a TV guy, he's very understanding of social media. In fact, he's used social media as a way to, he says, Mrs. Erica Vance. Oh, my God. Aaron says Mrs. Erica Vance. Yeah, man. Hey, listen, she's moving on up, right? You know what Cassie said when people asked her during the time that she dated P. Diddy, right? Why don't you just leave him? You know what she said in these, documents? She said, well, what am I going to do, right? I'm with P. Diddy and Jay-Z is taken. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is Cassie saying this. She's saying she can't leave P. Diddy because Jay-Z is taken. Who is she going to go with that is the top dog of that industry? Well, in the world of Republican influencers and conservative politics, who bigger than JD Vance to moving on up? Yeah, JD Vance will be our next president. I can see that. Vance. But Gavin Newsom is throwing he's thrown himself in the hat, right? He's throwing his hat in the race, rather. Sorry, just trying to get the expression out there. He's thrown his hat in the race. Gavin Newsom, our current governor here in California, right? New scum, yes. You know what? There was this sheriff, right? There was a sheriff that was warning everybody, a California sheriff dissing Gavin Newsom. Let me see if I can look it up. Okay, California sheriff calling out Newsom. Who is this guy? Chad Bianco. Okay, so Chad Bianco Riverside County, okay, so for shout outs to LA and everybody in Southern California, okay, so he is a county sheriff of Riverside, right? Chad Bianco, right? Has been a prominent and vocal critic of Governor Newsom on multiple issues, right? And that includes crime policies, prison management, pandemic-related mandates, okay? He is currently running as a Republican candidate in 2026 California governor's election to challenge Newsom's policy and leadership, right? So here are some key areas of criticisms that's involved with Chad versus Gavin Newsom, right? Crime and criminal justice reform. Bianco argues that the state's criminal justice reforms, particularly Proposition 47, are a disaster that has contributed to increased property crime, homelessness, and drug addiction. It is leading to an effort to get a proposition on November to basically repel all of these Prop 47 aspects, right? The other thing that he talks about is prison management. Hold on, let me get to these comments right here. He says he's too busy trying to be relevant around 2028. Yes, I noticed that. And he's also going in a lot of podcasts, right? By the way, did you guys see that Gavin Newsom tried to deny that his son was a Charlie Kirk fan, right? Did you see this? He tried to deny that his son is a Charlie Kirk fan. Look, I would not be surprised if he is a Charlie Kirk fan. Look, put it like this, right? Your dad is Gavin Newsom. You're a college kid, right? Look, it wasn't too long ago, you know, that I had left college, right? And from what I noticed, there are some people in college, especially males, that are of Republican leaning. They just try to keep quiet about it because obviously the professors are gonna, you know, fail you or discriminate you in some kind of way. So yes, 2028 election, that he's even taking care of his own state. That's true. Ducky Minecrafter says donated $600. Did you? Oh, okay. Chad was trying to run for governor. He says donated 67. He said it on his podcast. He was. Yes, he did. He did say that. So hold on a second. Let me just make sure this is okay. Just making sure that this is on right here. Okay, yeah, just trying to make sure that this monetization is on right here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, right? So the other aspects that Chad Bianco is trying to get at with Gavin Newsom is also prison management, right? He's criticized Newsom for leaving state prison systems in a complete disarray, releasing thousands of hardened criminals early, accusing the governor of prioritizing prison closures over public safety. Look, I'll tell you what, man. I got a lot of homies from Stockton, right? A very violent part of, of California, right? A lot of them were locked up and a lot of them were released due to Gavin Newsom's initiatives. Now, if you are a normal person that's not of, street culture or anything like that, you're probably looking at this and you're like, wow, okay, this is horrible. But for my side of the fence, I've seen some of my friends that have came home, even people that have committed 187s. Yes, people that have committed 187s against rival gang members, right? They came home, based on this initiative that Gavin Newsom has going on. In fact, one of them is a pretty known YouTuber by the name of Dubs, right? A guy who, by the way, endorses me, right? Shout out to Dubs if you're out there listening. He was one of those guys that was... that was released, due to that initiatives. And I've used some of his content regarding Ryan Garcia one time, right? I urge you guys to check that and also check out Dubs' content as well. Dubs is an open Republican. Can you imagine that, right? He leans on the Republican side. He's one of those guys that has made prison has made him into a conservative, right? So, Republican says, what are your thoughts on the David situation? The David situation. Explain what the David situation is, or which David are you specifically talking about? So other issues that that he's going after with Gavin Newsom pandemic orders during the COVID-19 pandemic. Bianco, along with sheriffs from other Southern California counties like LA and Orange County, famously refused to enforce the state's stay-at-home orders and business closures, basically calling them ridiculous, right? Saying that his department would not be blackmailed or bullied by the governor's office. So he's obviously been in contention with Gavin Newsom for quite some time. Also, the aspects of immigration. Okay, while stating that his office won't conduct federal immigration enforcement, Bianco has also indicated that he will do everything he can within the state law to cooperate with ICE to deport people in jails at a point that puts him at odds with some of his state's sanctuary laws and Newsom's broader stance on immigration. So overall, when it comes to leadership, right, in this governor's race, Bianco's primary platform in California is that failing is in every aspect, okay? That Newsom is failing in every aspect. And under Newsom's Democratic leadership, the state needs a different direction. It's hard to argue with Chad on that one, right? He says, happy birthday, Shahrukh Khan. Shahrukh Khan. Oh, happy birthday, Shahrukh Khan. Okay. Oh, is it someone's birthday? Let me know on the comment section below. Welcome, Mohsin. Shout out to you, my man. So, okay. Let's see here. What do we got going on here? Let's see.
At Capital Group, we take care when crafting our active ETFs so they can make a difference at the core of the portfolio. Because we don't fit molds, we prefer to cast originals. Capital Group.
E-Counter says, you politician. Am I a politician? No, I am not. I am not a politician, but I am big in studying politics. I have worked for a politician before in California, right? His name is, he's a state assemblyman by the name of Brian Mainshine, right? He was a former Republican who became a Democrat, right? Now, it's not that I favor the Democrats over the Republicans. It just so happens that in that realm of, you know, the job market that I was in, those were the people that were hiring at the time. And so that is what, you know, I had gone to. And also just the, you know, connections of, you know, of college and whatnot, right? You know, and then doing internships and, you know, and working for those people. But yeah, he says, you can't keep sleeping with Jamal, the whole house smell. I don't understand what you mean by that comment, but I'm just going to ignore you because I'm not going to deal with comments that basically promote stupidity. I don't even know what you're trying to, you know, imply with that. I don't even know what you're trying to say, but on any regard, yeah. So, all right. Okay, let's see here. How about this? How about we just get you up out of here? Or you know what? Here, I'll just remove your comment. I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourself. And if you say anything dumb again, I'm just going to kick you up out of here because, you know, we don't need this this garbage from you. So, okay, let's go to these eye pokes that have been happening in the world of MMA right now, right? Here we go. DC and Michael Bisping.
Waldo did carry on.
Knocked him out right
And
away.
then knocked him out.
That was the craziest. Let me tell
Yeah, so that was the craziest thing I seen all week. Look, everybody was saying going into this fight week, right? That, oh, you know what? This is a very boring fight. This is a very boring card. I knew that if Ante Delija was on this card, this would not be boring because there's a storyline right here where he is Tom Aspinall's training partner, and Tom Aspinall said that he will not fight him if he gets up there, and if he beat Waldo this weekend, it would have shot him right up there. But he didn't beat him. He did beat him initially, But then they came back, looked at the replay, and then the next thing you know, he knocks him out again. He ends up getting knocked out after the fact. Trey Ball Wavy says, this week will be better, but still a very low quality card. Yeah, man, they're edging you. That's what the UFC is doing, right? They're edging you. Sleeper is Simon versus Barcelona. Okay, Barcelos, you mean? Yes, Barcelona is the Spanish city, but oh, I know what you mean. Yes, that one is a sleeper right there. Very good. He says, have you heard of Ruger Rue? Are you talking about the rapper? Are you talking about the rapper, or are you talking about someone else that that I may not know, or I don't know, maybe you're talking about somebody that maybe you and I know personally or something like that. I don't know if you're, ranking implications in that fight with Simon and Barcelos. Let's look. Okay, so 38 years old at the bantamweight division. That's not really looking too good. He says, you listen to the band Ice Wallow. Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to read that. What a dumb comment, man. What a dumb comment. He says, oh, he's a boxer. Okay. Action Jackson says, dude, Waldo needs to fight Aspinall. I agree. You know what? If Tom Aspinall does not want to fight Cyril Gane, and by the way, we're getting into that direction right now. Okay, we're headed into that direction right now where he's not going to fight him because he's flat out said, I'm not going to fight I'm not going to fight Cyril Gane. Tom Aspinall said this. Let's see, what rank is Ronnie Barcelos right now? So there is no rankings in this. He doesn't have a ranking. Okay, what about Ricky Simone? Does he have a ranking? See here, no, there's no ranking with this guy. Yeah, none of these guys are currently ranked right now. So yeah, maybe a number 15 spot or something like that. Ruger Rue, Progress boxer. Oh, okay. What about him? Give me some context below. And what about? Okay, so going back to the eye pokes with Daniel Cormier and Michael Bisping.
Tell you something, man. Here's the thing, right? You take the situations because they are different. They are not the same. And you look at them individually. Acosta said immediately, I'm at about 30% of sight. Okay, so Sarin asks, who you got between Islam and Tapora? I'm going to go with Islam on that one. Obviously, Tapora has a matchup that they're trying to make right now. I think that is Patty that they are trying to bring about, but probably a good opener for Paramount, so we'll see. Action Jackson says, why don't they just use closed fist grappling gloves? Because organizations like the UFC don't like change. Like most institutions, they don't like change, especially colleges, right? They're an institution in and of itself. They don't like change. So in other words, they're going to try everything that they can to be very nullifying towards change, right? Because it's a lot of work, and then on top of that, the logistics of trying to, let's say, get a brand to back you up or this, that, and the other. I mean, yeah, Progress is boxer from New Orleans. Okay, I'll check him out. I'm at about 30% of sight. He's getting a little better. Bro, he was mad when he went back in there. Oh, yeah. He was mad. And then Ante, I've seen a couple instances where it was in a Drew Dober fight against the kid out in Canada. Low blow stops the fight. Dober gets 5 minutes, recovers, knocks him out. Then we also saw that one fight where the kid got a knockout. They restart that fight, and it ended up going to decision. So many crazy things have been happening. What I do appreciate, though, is that Mark Smith was very assertive in that moment. Mike, he never did this. He never waved the fight off. He said, replay. There was a signal for replay, and he made sure
that we saw the replay before.
He says, nothing in this life remains the same. You're right. Just like most political systems, just like most governments, just like most, like most things, nothing remains the same, right? But it becomes rather difficult when you got a guy like Dana White who doesn't like grand entrances. He doesn't like musical bands playing for entrances or all of these extravagant things that, let's say, the WWE or Pride FC does, right? He doesn't like change. He likes things linear, right? So the gloves, they experimented with new gloves. If you remember, right, when they had the gold gloves era in UFC, which was just recent, right? I think Islam Makhachev fought under those gloves where if you were a champion, you got to wear gold gloves or whatever, but then they sort of, walked away from that. I don't know why. They walked away from that, but they did try to change, but they basically just came out of it. He says, Islam L coming soon, JDM with the win. Shout out to you, Juice Man 562. We got Long Beach in the house right here, man. Shout out to everybody in Long Beach right now. Nathan says, who is your favorite wrestler? You know what? This is why I love having this belt right here, right? This belt right here is literally, a conversation starter. And the reason why I have that belt up there, I have that belt right up there, right next to my trophy, and right next to my Taekwondo, national trophy that I won back in 1997, October 11th, 1997, right? So what that, and then, my, state Muay Thai title trophy right there. So what this is basically giving you an illusion of what is fake and then what is real, right? So you never know if I'm talking fake or if I'm talking real, but when I talk real, it's as real as it gets, and when I talk fake, it's out of entertainment. So, and it's a good conversation starter. Who is my favorite wrestler in the WWE? Who? My favorite wrestler? I don't really have one. I do appreciate wrestling, though. Fresh Melon Juice says, Dana doesn't want anything or anyone to be greater than the brand of the UFC. Very true. Action Jackson says, Brock Lesnar is too big for Khabib. I remember Islam Makhachev called out Brock Lesnar, right? And it was Khabib that got in his ear that told him to do that. Obviously, it was a way to build Islam Makhachev's brand. Obviously, it's a tongue-in-cheek comment, nothing that is really real. It was made to basically give Islam a new skin of, how do I say this? Kind of give him a new skin for his, entertainment value, right? Give him a different type of look. Give him a different type of expression. So Dagestani wrestling is WWE. I don't understand what that comment means. You're gonna have to elaborate on that a little bit. Around the world, 5 seconds. Careful there, Chief. In what context are you talking about when you said be careful there? Let me know what you mean by that.
He made a determination. It was crazy, man. This was a crazy night, crazy instance, and I can't believe it happened still.
Yeah, no, it is one of the craziest things. The eye poke situation. Sorry, DC. I'm dragging. I'll send you a copy of this.
All good, all good.
Put it on your YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to DC's channel, what are you doing, by the way? Main event, we also had Steve Garcia taking on David Ornama. Holy shit, right?
Dude, he's good, man.
Steve Garcia, man.
Yo, what about Steve Garcia? He gave take a point. Oh, okay. Take a point. Oh, okay. You mean when the eye poke happens, or take a point? Eye pokes are my favorite. He says around the world, eye pokes are my favorite. Why? Why is it your favorite? You know what? Chael was right about what he said, right? The reason why we're so mad at Tom Aspinall is because he did not give us a definitive conclusion, right? That is one of the things that we look for in the world of MMA is definitive conclusions, and unfortunately, we did not get that with Tom Aspinall, and we kind of blame Tom Aspinall as a result of it. Free throw, like in basketball. Okay. Free eye pokes, free throw eye pokes, LOL. So in other words, if you get eye poked, the other guy can poke you as well to kind of make it even. I mean, is that a solution? But then at what rate are you, I mean, look, the reason why Waldo is sitting in his high horse right now, blaming Tom Aspinall or calling Tom Aspinall out, is because maybe his eye poke was not as severe. You know what I mean? Like, not all eye pokes are the same. Aspinall is now the duck. Yeah, funny how that changes, right? And that kind of shows you maybe Ronda is right about the comments that she said. And by the way, in the Ronda Rousey video that I had made, I urge you guys to go check that out, right? Ronda Rousey having a go at Khabib and having a go at, what's his name? At Khabib and Joe Rogan, right? She's right. I think a lot of people just have this notion of, like, you know, disloyalty towards fighters, and rightfully so. None of us are loyal to fighters, unless, of course, you're like me, who is loyal to all the Muslim fighters, you know, but that's a completely different story. But for the most part, MMA fans are not loyal. You know, we want the best guy to have the belt. We want the best guys to have the opportunities. And if that guy fails, then we're going to let him have it. That's just the reality of the MMA community. Action Jackson says, yeah, pretty much I got it from Buckley on his channel that it was his solution, LOL. Man, yeah, that makes sense, right? Buckley would come up with a solution like that. Very interesting.
Talk about this guy, DC. Come on.
He's really.
And by the way, I'd be curious to see when is his next fight, by the way, man. You haven't seen that guy fighting in a while. Matter of fact, let's see. Joaquin Buckley. Yeah, the Kamaru Usman fight, so since June, there's no fights lined up for him since the summer, so he's just been chilling, you know, from the time being. So, okay, all right, let's go back to DC and Michael Bisping here.
Good, bro. You literally said he's fighting the perfect fight. You said he's fighting the perfect fight. I thought that Onama would give him something more in return. It seemed like Onama was waiting to get started, and Garcia was like, yo, the moment you say I can fight this guy, I'm going to go and fight this guy. And that's exactly what he did in the ultimate.
Around the World in 5 Seconds says Derek Lewis hasn't fought in a while. Yeah, he hasn't, right? And he's got a win under his belt from what I understand. He says, Fresh Mellinger says, just like football. Okay, let me read your comment right up top. He says, UFC should have a video assistant referee VAR live during the fights, talking to the referee in the octagon, and stop the fights when something illegal is going on and take points away, just like football. Okay, best men's cologne. What is the Polo? I'm going to say Polo. What do you think, C-Man? 216 Love says, yo, bro, shout out to you, 216. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. But yeah, I would go with Polo, and Aqua di Gio is one of my favorite colognes, so I'll go with that one.
Ultimately ended up getting a knockout for it. It was very impressive.
Which Polo? The blue one, the Polo Sport. He says, going to 322, bro, my first event. Wow. Man, shout out to you, 216, man. So I'm assuming you are from the East Coast, right? Obviously, that's probably in close proximity for you, or maybe you live in other parts of the United States and you're going to fly out there. Let me know how you're going to. He says, I sent a couple of messages while you're live before. Okay, let's go. I got Islam, bro. 216, huh? Okay, so you've been here before. Okay, remind me what part of the world you are from again. Yeah, just remind me what part of the world you are from, my man. Just so I can kind of get a bit of some context.
Impressive by Garcia. And he's showing, man, that he is a very viable threat in this weight class. He really is.
Yeah, Steve Garcia now 7-0. Six finishes as well out of the...
He says, New York, bro, I'm hyped. Oh, okay, so you're a New York guy. Okay. Hey, man, listen, I'm going to be... Oh, wow. Shout out to you, my man. Thank you for that. Sent me a gift right there. Shout out to you, man. Thank you. Some little latte right there. All right, man. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Thank you for that. Shout out to you, my man. Yeah, I will be live for that fight. I'm going to have a few of the homies come pull up. I'm going to have Zane pull up. I'm going to have my, my homie Jermaine pull up. He's been here before. So, yeah, man, hopefully you can tap in as well. And, let me know how the atmosphere is like. I'll be looking out for your comment right here while you are, while you are live out there in person. So, man, that's going to be very exciting, man. You know what I mean? I can't wait for that. But, yeah, shout out to you, man. I hope you have a good time. But, I will be here with the boys and maybe with you as well, covering the fights while it's going on. So, yeah. And thank you for that. Thank you for, for that gift right there, man. Thank you. Shout out to you, my man.
7-0 on a 7-5 win.
Yes.
Should I say? They called out Max Holloway for the BMF.
I don't know that that'll happen, though.
That isn't going to happen.
It's a little bit of a stretch call.
Charles Oliveira called out Max. Max kind of accepted it.
Mando says, Jesus loves you. All right. Well, Jesus loves everybody, and Jesus is the messenger of Allah, and there is no one like him in history, and he will return. And he will return to destroy Kanye's favorite people.
So that's probably what's going to happen next. I'll tell you what, Steve Garcia, keep an eye on that name. Always a pleasure working with Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, man. That was a fun night. We always have so much fun.
It's a fun night.
Yeah, Islam is looking very big, right? And I think he's doing it about the right way, right? He says that he's having a very difficult time gaining weight. Well, that's because he's also training very hard, which means that he's going to come out even faster, but also has enough stamina to go along with the size that he's put on as well. And then also, understand this, right? Size in MMA is important because of grappling. So I want you to think about that, right? That is where the advantage lies in this one.
It's crazy because so many people were talking crap about this fight card. They were.
But that's generally what happens, though.
I know. And look at that. There was almost all finishes. When there was
on the main card,
yeah,
it went crazy. The prelims, they might have had some.
Yo, listen, come to think of it, man, there was a lot of finishes in that fight, right? Like, yo, let's take a look at all the finishes. Okay, so Garcia, round 1. Waldo, round 1. Jeremiah, obviously, went to a decision. Del Valle goes to a submission. By the way, that fight is being investigated right now. I don't know why. Right? Yeah, there's some investigations going on in that fight. Hold on just a second. Okay. He says, what made you switch Mando? Yeah, I left Islam to follow Jesus' best decision ever. Okay, well, good luck to you on that. Okay, so, all right. Going back to DC right now.
Some decisions, but once we got to the main card, it was all gas. No breaks.
Anyway, I'm going to continue this review a little bit later because DC's like, bro, we just worked 7 hours on live TV. He gets in the car, going to the airport. He's rushing for his flight because he's late. And I've got a camera in his face.
It's so all good.
I do apologize.
Anything for my boy.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, so I just left DC, just walking through Vegas airport. Tremendous night of fights, as I was saying, at the Apex. Just touching a couple more subjects on the main event. So Steve Garcia, I think he's got a very, very bright future. Potential champion, maybe one day. I mean, there was nothing about that performance which wouldn't suggest it. Beautiful head movement, very educated pressure, cutting off the cage, and clearly got power in his hands. Because David Arnama's a really tough.
He says, shit, how about an MMA debate? Well, regarding what? I mean, we always have an MMA debate, or are you referring to the fact that people are talking about some religious things in the chat, and you want to switch it into MMA? But in either event, yeah, let me know.
Person to finish. He's a great fighter. He was on a great run. So fair play to Steve Garcia. He was talking about Volkanovski as well, saying that he's holding up the division. So be interesting to see who he gets next, but I doubt it will be Max Holloway.
I want the Rocky Balboa story. I want the one with Max Holloway at the BMF title, man.
And then one more time on that co-main event. Now that DC's not in the car even. Yeah, Cora's is a coaster. I mean, he used to play baseball. He was known for throwing a ball over 100 miles an hour, I believe. So the right hand is his big weapon. Last time he was up against Sergey Pavlovich, didn't get the job done, but had a good showing. I really feel for Ante Delia, though, because again, the eye pokes, man. We're sick of talking about this at this stage. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't intentional. So therefore, all the people that are talking shit about Cyril Gane, if you're going to talk shit about Cyril, I guess you're going to talk shit about Ant. But Ant's a really good guy. Ante, should I say. Great guy. Awesome person. Honourable fighter. Did not mean to poke him in the eye, but he did.
Listen, if you've been in a car accident, don't call an attorney. Use this AI app instead. That's what I did, and that's how I got this $140,000 check in less than 30 seconds. Listen, I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, if you've been in a car accident, I'm about to turn your world upside down. Because I was in a car accident a few months ago. My car got totaled, and I ended up injuring my arm. It was bad. I had to put work on hold. To make matters worse, of course, the check that insurance offered me was not enough, wasn't enough to buy a safe, reliable car in this market. But luckily, I was scrolling on my phone late at night and I came across a video just like this one. So we've all heard of AI before. It's so smart, like too smart. Some say it'll even replace humans, but I had never heard of an AI lawyer before. I found this app called the Case Connect Compensation.
Definitely had a adrenaline dump because he came over.
Ernie says, what are your opinions? What are some of the opinions you have? Thoughts on the last pay-per-view, the next one, or the GOAT list, or pound for pound, or whatever. Do you watch pro wrestling or just got a belt for fashion? I think that's what it is. He says, I used to love watching wrestling and still got respect for the biz. Yeah, I haven't followed wrestling in a while. I think part of that is because MMA is so exciting right now that it's kind of hard to follow it. You know what I mean? But yeah.
To me, and he was celebrating. I was trying to signal to him.
My thoughts on the last pay-per-view, I thought it was great up until the end. But obviously, that is what you get out of MMA, right? Unpredictability. Absolute unpredictability. And I know a lot of people didn't like it because people want conclusions, right? Chael Sonnen talked about this in his video. Me, I'm not one of these people that cares so much about conclusion. I mean, it's great, but we also understand that as Muslims, you know, life is what Allah wills, right? And if Allah willed for that fight to end the way that it did, then that's what it is. Thoughts on the main event and the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division right now is very confusing, right? Meaning that there's no definitive number one guy. Surprisingly, in boxing, there is a number one guy right now, and that's Alexander Usyk. So when it comes to heavyweight combat sports, Alexander Usyk is the best around right now. That and Rico Verhoeven as well in the kickboxing side of the world, but kickboxing is not as popular as MMA or boxing is on a mainstream level. But there's only two definitive champions in heavyweight combat sports. That's kickboxing, Rico Verhoeven, and that's Usyk in heavyweight boxing, and he's the undisputed champion. Now in MMA, it's confusing. Tom Aspinall, we thought would be the heir to the throne of Francis Ngannou, and John Jones, being that John Jones had decided to retire. Okay? But on any regard, that's not the case. He didn't retire, or at least he says that he wants to fight in the White House. He says, well, Usyk is the best after Jake Paul. Who is our generation's Muhammad Ali? Yeah, look, I don't think there is a Muhammad Ali in this generation. Now, Muhammad Ali was a great fighter for who he was in his generation, but every generation there's a new fighter that comes across as the best guy, right? Muhammad Ali was considered the greatest not because of his resume, but because of what he did outside of the sport. Now, you could argue Usyk is in that same field because he actually fought a war instead of running from a war, which is some of the criticisms that a lot of conservatives at the time had towards Muhammad Ali. But yeah, man, it's different, man. Every generation, different people have their own way of expressing how great they are or
how each champion sort of markets themselves in the in that long run. Ernie Johnson says Muhammad Ali isn't even comparable to anybody we talking about right now. You're right, especially with the social aspects that he has created, right? I mean, think about this, right? Muhammad Ali negotiated with Saddam Hussein to have American hostages released. Okay, now if you talk about cultural impact, what more cultural impact you can have than that? And this was in the 80s, right? So this was like way beyond Muhammad Ali's time in the world of professional boxing already. At this point of Muhammad Ali's career, where he helped those hostages in Iraq, negotiating with Saddam Hussein, he was already in the level of where Khabib was at, right? Meaning that he was already retired, he was gone from the sport, and he was more so a political figure or a political influencer than he was. Fresh Melon Juice says, no, not Usyk, man. Jake Paul is the greatest. You know what? Here's the thing, right? Many people are talking about how Jake Paul needs to go fight real boxers or this and that. This is what I say, right? Jake, I say keep going. Do what you do. You want to know why? Because even if you don't reach the championship levels of boxing, the one thing that you will always fall back on is he's going to be a promoter. Okay, he's going to be the next Eddie Hearn. If he's not going to be the next Muhammad Ali, as you say, guess what? He'll be the next Eddie Hearn or the next Frank Warren. Maybe even bigger than that, and he's proven to do something completely different. Muhammad Ali didn't have a generation of youth change their haircut to a comb-over haircut. You know what? Jake has his hair like that only because Jake is, somewhat balding, right? You know what I mean? So he had, yeah, man, it's deliberate why Jake has his hair like that, right? But yeah, he says, Jake's resume speaks for itself. Right. He has his own resume, right? It's impressive if you're an MMA fan. It's suspect if you're a boxing hardcore. But one thing you can't deny, entertainment value, he always brings it. Ernie says, I want to debate who's the heavyweight champ right now in MMA. Francis Ngannou. I don't think there's a debate in that right now. It's Francis Ngannou, but because of organizations and contract negotiations, we can't put him in the rankings of the UFC, and the UFC has monopoly all over MMA. So who's the man? I would say, yeah, Francis Ngannou. And funny enough, he's the subject matter of this whole entire live stream that we're talking about, because guess what? Francis Ngannou could get this fight with Jake Paul. Imagine that. He had a fight with Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, now with Jake Paul, right? The top 3 pay-per-view stars of our generation in the world of boxing. Ernie says, fair enough. To be the man, you have to be the man. To be the man, you have to beat the man, you mean. Okay, well, unfortunately, Francis can't be in the same organization for them to fight each other, and that is the unfortunate part about it. You're one of the rare fans that gives him his respect. Francis Ngannou, really? Man, you know what? More people should, right? Considering the fact that he is the lineal UFC champion right now, and he literally took the UFC belt and brought it into, PFL, and gave PFL its own prestige of the heavyweight title. So anybody that could go after Francis Ngannou for the PFL title has its own prestige in and of itself.
You poked him in the eye. And he was like, yeah. And then obviously he had to find out that the fight was back on, which is a crazy one. I don't think we've ever seen that before. Yes, when I fought Anderson Silva, he thought he'd won.
Yes. Thank you, Michael Bisping, for once again inserting yourself into a storyline. Yes, when you fought Anderson Silva in London, he thought that he had won that fight. That wasn't the case, and then next thing you know, boom, right? He gets knocked out.
He landed that knee in the 3rd round, but he hadn't won. The fight was still going on. That was just a problem on the side of Anderson Silva. So we've never seen that before.
So what happened with Anderson Silva in that fight? There was an adrenaline dump. Same thing with Ante Delija. He had an adrenaline dump. Next thing you know, Waldo was very upset at that. He took it out on Ante while that fight was going on, and the next thing you know, he ends up winning the fight due to the adrenaline dump that Ante Delija had suffered from. yes, that is what Michael Bisping does best, right? You know, and a lot of people constantly complain about it. You know, this is Michael Bisping right now reading the comments, looking at you. Okay, back at it.
Obviously, the fight starts, and he's probably just kind of cruising a little bit, throws a jab, and then Cortez Acosta counters with that vicious right hand, drops in a few more shots, and he was out cold. So, big things for Cortez Acosta, and he was talking as well. And there's going to be a lot of people online, as I say, talking about Tom Aspinall right now, which you can't do that. No eye pokes are the same. They're really not, you know, and it's all just unfortunate.
I said that same thing, right? No, all eye pokes are the same. And he's right about that, right? That is a reason why Waldo can get up on his high horse right now. And guys, I'm only saying this on an objective level, right? This is not in any hate for Waldo or favor in Tom Aspinall or hate for Waldo and in favor of the other or vice versa. None of that, right? It's just being honest and calling it down the middle. But yeah.
Unfortunate for Ante. It's unfortunate for Waldo Cortez Acosta. He was the one that got eye poked, and apparently his eye's still looking really bad. He can't see out of it, and it's all cut open and stuff like that. And obviously unfortunate for Tom and Cyril Gane, because Cyril Gane was looking good, and I'm sure he didn't mean to poke him, even though when you look online right now it says that Cyril Gane is the dirtiest fighter on the roster, which again, is bullshit.
Live in California. We're looking for 10 homeowners willing to try out the new 2025 Renewable Energy Program.
You know what I mean? Right, what else did we have on the card? Jeremiah Wells defeated Ted McGrimbo via decision. A hard-fought one before that. Oh, this is an interesting one. A lot of people are talking about this online. I'm going to switch my arms because my arm's getting tired. You can see I'm getting old, but there we go. I'm left-handed. Hold it in the left arm. That'll be better. Yadir Del Valle, right?
All right, so there was a lot of controversy going on in this fight right here.
Undefeated Cuban fighter. He was 9-0 going up against Isaac Dulgarian. A lot of people are making noise on Twitter saying that this fight was fixed. Okay, apparently tons of money came in on Yadir Del Valle, even though he was a big underdog. So everyone's calling the fix. I'll tell you what, I commentated the fight. It did not look like Isaac Dulgarian was not trying. It looked like Yadir Del Valle has got a bright future in this sport because he's...
Okay, so I got to tell you guys, many people have had their bets placed back for this particular fight. And then they're talking about having federal investigations being placed on this particular fight. Very similar to what Cash Patel, director Cash Patel, is doing right now with the NBA. Right? So there's a lot of crazy things going on here. But you hear it from the horse's mouth. Michael Bisping said, hey, you know what? I was there live in the fight, and he claims that there was no foul thing going on other than just, you know, the fact that, the fact that Del Valle was just, you know, the superior fighter that night.
He's 10-0, he's undefeated, he's big, he's strong, he's a black belt in BJJ.
Says, well, what are they investigating? The Del Valle and the Dulgarian fight, right? They're saying that Dulgarian looked like he didn't try, that they are insinuating a fight-fixing situation going on. But Michael Bisping is saying, from what I seen in the cage side, he looked like he was trying. And, I might take Michael Bisping's word for that one, right? I know that, you know, many people, when they suspect something is going on or when a lot of people are angry about a result, you know, they're going to scream foul and they're going to scream conspiracy in any kind of way. But I tend to lean towards, the most reasonable conclusion. He says, are they investigating Khamzat and DDP for what? For what? That was a fair and square fight. What is there to investigate? Oh, because maybe Khamzat, you know, did not try to finish him? Okay. Is it illegal? Is it illegal to not finish a fight when you know that you can do so? Is it illegal to do that? Because all throughout the years of boxing, there have been situations where a trainer would tell their boxer, you know how it is, you're a prospect in boxing, right? You start off with 4-rounders. After you do 4-rounders, Next thing you know, you're doing 6-rounders. After you're doing 6-rounders, now you're doing 8-rounders. And then you move on to domestic championships, right? Or regional titles, and then that's like 10 rounds or something like that. And then you move on to the international stage, the world stage. You go on to 12 rounds. Somewhere in between that, a trainer is going to tell you, hey, listen, go a couple of rounds on this one, okay? Go this many rounds, or go finish the fight to a decision. Sometimes they do that in boxing. Now, is that illegal to do that? I mean, no one has been investigated in the world of boxing based on that. So, I don't know, man. I don't think Khamzat should be investigated for that. And also, they can just easily argue that DDP is a formidable opponent and that, you know, he fought really hard to prevent Khamzat from dominating in certain positions. Khamzat's ground and pound was atrocious. Yeah, Victory says, some may say reprehensible. Yeah, LOL. There you go. Right, using my words against me. I see. Okay, I see you. Little backhanded compliment right there. Reprehensible.
But of course,
that's reprehensible.
The toxic Twitter MMA fan base is going to do what they do. But that was not a fake. That wasn't.
There you go. So how about this, right? The toxic MMA fan base has gotten Kash Patel out of his office to go investigate this fight. Okay, with all the things that is going on in the United States, okay, they're bothering Kash Patel to deal with a UFC fight because you nutsos in the internet world are over here, oh, that was a fake fight or this and that. And then later down the road, we find out that Del Valle is going to become a world champion and that, you know, Dolgarian really got his butt whooped the way that Khamzat really put it on DDP.
A setup. You know, that wasn't a fix. But let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't, but I haven't looked into it. I haven't done my homework. I just finished commentating, rode it with DC, and now here I am talking about it. Before that, Charles Radke versus Daniel Frunze. You get the submission in the 3rd round.
It's funny that nobody in the comment section of Michael Bisping talks about that fight, right? If you look at the where he said, yeah, right on the comment section below, if you know, if they did anything like that, this is what, look at this. Nothing about that subject, right? It's about the eye pokes after eye pokes. That's all that they want to talk about. Tom, eye pokes, damage control by Tom. The Aspinall damage control is epic. Karma is so real. Look at this. If you're doing eye pokes in 2025, it's intentional. Mike ain't eaten all day, followed by a steak and eggs this morning, laughing my ass off. Yeah, nothing about the Golarian fight. Nothing about the Del Valle fight at all. So, there you have it, man. All right, so.
Opening up the main card, Alan Nascimento got the job done on Cody Durden, submission, 2nd round, Anna Conner. Hold on. We're talking.
Fresh says, Cash is dating a Jew, J.D. Vance, an Indian, and Trump, a Russian. What's wrong with oh man, listen, you know what? Fresh, do you really want to go there? Do you really want to go there? Okay, well, I can't go there, but I will tell you who to go to answer that question. Go ask Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit. You guys know who Myron Gaines is, right? You know, he talks about this a lot. And, you know, he can tell you, you know what? After this, I'll play you a Myron Gaines clip specifically for you.
So my flight was supposed to be tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Rebecca looked online. There was a cheeky little Spirit Airlines flight, which I'll be honest, isn't the best airline. But it gets me home. Because if I stayed in Vegas tonight, I'd go and have dinner. I'll probably have a few drinks, let's be honest. And
oh, well, there you go. Michael Bisping taking a very responsible route here in, you know, going home, even with a cheap flight from Southwest. Not the best airlines, he said, but he did not want to be in Vegas because he doesn't want to be tempted by the beer and this and that. And you know what, Khabib, he even mentioned that he hates being in Vegas. You know, when he fought Conor McGregor, right, he flew right out to Russia that same night, took a flight that same night back to Russia, and then met with Putin in the morning. You know what I mean? He doesn't like staying in Vegas. It's haram. It's filthy. It's, you know, everything that a Muslim should not be in. I mean, look, I Honestly, I would not like to stay in Vegas for that long. I have been in Vegas. I don't mind going to Vegas again, but not at the capacity of gambling or anything like that. Maybe for an MMA, reason, but never for these other reasons. Fresh says Charlie Kirk's. Well, there you go, right? I mean, at 31 years old, I'm sure he's traveled the world, but then, he got to an age where he had met who he met, and that's what it was. So, all right.
I got a first class flight.
He says,
on Spirit Airlines back to Orange County. It's only a short flight for
you're definitely going to be staying off the grid for a long time. Stupid ass comment.
$95. Economy was 100. First class was 195. I've flown first class on Spirit before, and it was a.
Like, you realize I can unalive you, right? Like, you understand that, right? Like, I would absolutely destroy you. I would absolutely unalive you. And then if I knew where you lived and I knew everything about you, and if I decided to go and call one of my hacker friends that knows how to, put together and get an IP address, you, my friend, would be shitting bricks if I showed up at your house tonight. And God forbid you live anywhere near the West Coast. God forbid you live anywhere. Who are you talking about? The guy that is various nuts overrated or good food. Nuts is good for you. Yeah, he just got here. What happened? Oh no, somebody just said a comment, so I just had to go and address something to him. So, somebody that I just deleted, right? Staying off the grid. Listen, it's so funny how some of you claim to be staying off the grid or this and that. And again, Fresh, listen, no disrespect to you or anything like that. I'm just speaking to the guy that, quote unquote, is staying off the grid. That's his screen name, right? You're saying all of these things. He says, I won, you look like Mickey Mouse. I look like a Mickey Mouse? Bro, I would kill you. I would end your life. You understand that? Like, you understand that? Okay, anyways, anyone on YouTube is not off the grid. All data is available. There you go. Exactly. So, there you have it. Especially not me. So he says, come try. How about this? Try this. Boom. Just like that. Just a troll and Kyrie trying to him nothing out of the normal. There you go. Yeah. Yep.
Decent experience. But I get to go home. Rebecca will pick me up at the airport. Wake up in my own bed tomorrow. And not hungover. Not rough. Not with a headache. And then have a nice
Arab
Sunday with the kids. It's been a crazy few months of travel, but I'm now finally home for a couple of weeks before I fly off to Doha.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Michael Bisping is also doing Doha with, okay. So to answer your question, Fresh, right? Where you mentioned how Trump is with who he's with and J.D. Vance, and then, wow, okay, Kash Patel is with somebody who's Jewish. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see what we're okay, something about Myron Gaines here. I wanted to show you. Okay, here we go.
I'm all for men treating women nice and, obviously paying for dates, taking them out, committing to them. Well, I'm all for that, but I think that most women simply don't qualify for that because a lot of women have bad habits. A lot of them are rude, obnoxious, masculine. These are things that guys should be looking out for to avoid.
So what qualities...
Like these women over here, for example.
So what qualities...
Like, that's not ladylike behavior to, just yell and heckle on the left-hand side.
So what qualities in a woman would make her deserve what you would consider
Well, I think that's dependent upon the man. I think a woman's job is kind of to adhere to his program and get on what he needs done. Because every guy is different, right? On what preferences they have, maybe with the way that she looks versus what she provides to him. But I think that's based on the guy, and it's the woman's job to figure that out. I'm all for men treating women nice and, you know, obviously paying for days.
All right, so to answer your question right there, that is the reason why, right? When you asked about Trump, when you asked about J.D. Vance, and when you asked about Kash Patel, right? All non-Americans, right, that they are with. That is the reason why. You know, somewhere along the lines, many of them who grew up in this culture have lost their way. And when you grow up in this culture and you've lost your way, you know, these are men of the world. These are men with international experience. These are men that have a greater understanding of other cultures out there while also having love for their own American culture and other subcultures that they belong to as well. J.D. Vance being part of, let's say, the Appalachian Mountain redneck culture, right, which he comes from. Kash Patel, obviously being a proud American, serving in, you know, the American government, and then on top of that, also being proud of his Indian heritage as well. Trump, on the other hand, well, you know, Trump is an international man. You know, Trump, even though he is a conservative or claims Republican, and he is very, he obviously is a Republican on paper, his politics are something that aligns with 90s Democrats. Okay, so that would mean somebody like Bill Clinton or somebody like Al Gore, right? He's sort of in that same stratosphere because, remember, man, Hillary Clinton, Obama, and even Clinton himself were all harsh on, you know, immigration policies. So Victory says, yeah, many of them have adapted masculine traits. That's very accurate. Yes. Not all the time, obviously. You know, you look at Charlie Kirk, he's, you know, been who he's been with, and then as a result of that, you know, he found somebody that, you know, aligns with those ideals, and that's sort of what Myron had talked about with this one right here. So, so yeah, you're right. I did Six Dogs. I did, you know, kind of let him off easy on that one. Mr. Random Man, let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. I think it's the first time you are here. So, guys, listen, this is what I need you guys to understand, okay? If you want to come in here and you want to talk smack, okay, I'm going to come and talk smack to you in the worst way possible. You want to know why? Because I'm not some punk-ass bitch that's going to let you talk to me in any kind of way. You know what? Here's the thing, right? I think a lot of people, you know, mistaken the fact that when you're kind, you're nice, and you speak people with polite and gentleman-like traits, that somehow they think you're a bitch, right? This is a common thing in Western culture. This is something that I've only noticed in Western culture. Ahmed says Samoan. I'm part Islander and part Arabic, so there you have it. He says women accept the same from men today as 100 years ago, but the product they're selling is not the same. Yes, you are absolutely accurate about that. Yes, that is accurate. Caleb Williams says hola. He says cap. Okay, shout out to you, Caleb Williams. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. So, he says, go to bed. Well, I don't understand how, like, how do you go to someone's website, or how do you go to someone's channel and then you just say, go to bed, right? I don't understand what you... Oh, okay, you're saying cap in what you're saying about my ethnicity. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know any person that's full Asian that can, you know, grow this. This right here is a Semitic, you know, trait. So, yeah, man, I don't know what you are trying to imply with that. Gordy says, yeah, I don't know what you're also trying to apply with that, but... We got a lot of weirdos in the comment section right now. Let me know what part of the world you weirdos are from. It's Caleb the Boxer. No, that's Caleb Plant that you're talking about. But I have joked about, he says, oh, my finger slipped. Yeah, it's all good, man. No problem. You know, hey, listen, look, I'm going to tell you this, man. I'm not one of these people that takes disrespect very lightly. Because I tell you what, if you try to disrespect me in any kind of way, you know what? A finger of mine might slip too. You know what I'm saying? This might slip. And by the way, listen, I got homies that hold it like this, but best believe if I'm gonna show up and and we're gonna show up for whatever, you best believe I'm gonna take the point man role in that door kicking contest, and I'm gonna be coming at you like this, okay? Full discipline, okay, hand on the trigger, everything, fully disciplined and all that. So he says, I don't know. Okay, it's all good, man. It's all good, no problem. I'm just saying, please be respectful. I can be a very respectful guy, but please, he's talking about quit yapping. How about this? How about I put you on a 24-hour timeout? Boom, off you go, up out of here. Just like that. I'm not going to deal with any of, this BS. You know what I mean? Look, I may look young. I'm 40 years old. I'm 40 years old that looks young, but I'm still 40 years old by the end of the day. And yeah, man, I'm not going to deal with that. He says, I got fired from work. I got fired at work today for fighting. Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that, Mike. What was the fight about, my man? Let me know. Elaborate for me. Let me know what all of that was about, what happened, what was the context behind it, and what led up to it. Like, I'm sorry to hear that. That's very unfortunate. Are you, who are you talking to, Fresh? Are you talking to me or someone at work? Or, sorry, someone at the chat. Sorry, I was thinking about what Mike said here about getting fired at work. That's why I said that. Yeah, let me know what you mean by that on the comment section. Oh, okay, Mike. Oh, well, yeah. Why would you ask that about Mike? What does that have to do with what does his ethnicity have to do with him fighting at work? Are you implying that it is only certain people that that get fired at work because of fighting? And if that's the case, well, I tell you what, man. I had this one job before, where I worked for, well, I don't want to mention where it is because then you guys will start digging it up. But let me just say, yes, 2 African-American guys, and they got into it. He says, more than likely, I'm just playing the odds. Republicanism says that dude was a Kamala voter and a hypocrite. Who was a Kamala voter and a hypocrite? You know what? What's crazy is this is one thing that I notice about the Republican sphere of political, political online culture, right? I notice that anytime there is a disagreement that they have with someone, right, they would often, call you a Kamala Harris supporter, or if you don't like a certain, type of political ideology they have, you would somehow toss it up as, okay, they're like a liberal snowflake or something like that. But okay, let's hear what Mike had to say here. He says, I'm a dishwasher. They transferred me to a different location for a day to help them out. The people in the back were trying to treat me like ish, and they thought I was new or something. Long story short. Ah, okay. Oh, the dude you banned. Okay, gotcha. Okay, Republicanism says the dude you banned. Okay, so going back to what Mike says, right? Yeah. That is, man, I'm sorry to hear that. It is rather unusual, right? Considering the fact that, they brought you to a new place, a different location. And yes, you should act accordingly anyway, right? But these are new people that you are engaging in, right? Because, look, I'll tell you this, right? As somebody that would, let's say if I was somebody that would be at a CEO position or something like that, right? Liberal sissies, that's what they are called, Republicanism says. Mike Long says, or maybe they treat all their dishwashers like that. That's what I'm saying, right? Different places have different cultures and how they conduct themselves, right? So if I was the CEO or if I was the manager of your company, that's not something I would do, right? The reason why I would not do that is because I understand team dynamics, right? That's something that I learned from the world of mixed martial arts, something that I learned from, the corporate world, at least with people that are sincere leaders in that, part of the corporate world, right? They would not just, put people, to team up with each other like that. That's just not a good idea, right? You got to put people that are willing to work with each other and make their day pleasant with each other as much as possible, and you create much productivity out of that. You see what this person was doing by sending you there, right? Because they probably needed another dishwasher for that restaurant or or whatever establishment it was that you're working for, right? They needed extra bodies. So that's all they were thinking about. They were just thinking, you know what? Listen, there's this extra bodies that we need to, have in this place. So let's just bring Mike up over there. Let's bring Mike on over there. And then when we bring Mike on over there, it's going to solve our problem. Well, now here's the problem. You get there, you get into a fight. Now there's police that's going to be involved. So now you got to deal with paperwork. Now you got to deal with all that mess. Now you got to deal with an incident report. Now you got to write up an incident report for HR. Now they not only have to talk to you and investigate talking to you, now they got to talk about in the back how they're going to deal with the compensation that they have to give you after firing you, depending on what laws your state has when it comes to those laborers and this and that, right? So there's a lot going on there. They didn't think about this mess that they were going to get into, right? Rather than just, dealing with a shortage that they have, maybe have like one of the bus people, right? One of the people that are bussing tables, go in there and do that job, or maybe have one. And I know this is something a lot of waiters who are in that industry are a little more prideful to do. Maybe that's not what they're going to do because they don't want to miss out on tips, right? And then, yes, I think being a dishwasher in, in a restaurant business, there is this, well, all right, let me just say this, right? As a teenager, there was this one time where I worked at this, diner for like maybe, like a couple of weekends or so, right? And I noticed that, you got to work your way up before you go and become, a waiter, right? So I was back there with dishwashers, and guess who the dishwashers were? A lot of them were, illegal, Mexicans. So he says, yeah, that's what I think. Or maybe they just, okay. Mike says, when I called them out on one of their face dropped and their eyes got watery. The other one agreed to fight, but I looked scared, and he was, and he but looked scared, and he was, I dropped him before they separated us. Yep, you're right about the report. Mike says, I made sure he swung first, though I can claim it's self-defense. Yes. So, Mike, the best advice that I can give you on this, right, is make sure that you have everything documented, right? Make sure that you have everything, witnesses. Try to gather witnesses that were, present at that time, right? And also read up on the labor laws that you have in your state if you are in the United States, or if you are in, another part of the world that may have a different, type of, But Jamal here says, good job, Mike. Don't let anybody treat you like trash. Yeah, man. I agree with Jamal there. Now, Jamal, I'm willing to go out on a limb. Jamal, you're probably, a minority, right? This is gonna piss off a certain, a demographic of people in the chat. But look, this is, and not to say that white boys aren't taught this too. I know this is taught in like, in the redneck parts of like, white America, you know what I mean? They tell you to stand up for yourself as well, right? But more so in the minority community, and sometimes even worse in a minority community, they tell you that if you don't go out there and raise up, guess what? You're going to get a butt whooping at home. Omaro says, hello, Omaro. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. And, shout out to you and everybody. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Because, yeah, man, we obviously talked about the subjects that we talked about, but now we're talking about some, really interesting subjects with Mike here, in the chat, bringing up the fact that he got fired today from his job. And, yeah, man, thank you for sharing that. Obviously, Not that I was intending on doing so, but it's always interesting to, bring up real life stories from people and also making, some interesting content out of it, which is what we are doing right now. So Amaro says hello. He's from the UK. Okay, man, shout outs to you, man. Shout outs to everybody in the UK. I hope that you do tap in here for the JDM fight, because I am going to have one of my UK brothers in here, Zane Musa Boxing Dosage. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's, he's a YouTube, he's a boxing YouTuber, so he does a lot of boxing content, and he will be here for the JDM Islam fight for UFC 322. Mike Long says, I'm good on money while I job hunt, though I'm good for a little while. Yeah, you know what? So here's another thing that's sort of going on right now, right? There is this, EBT and SNAP situation that is going on, right? That has been cut off. You know what? I'm starting to wonder, like, how are people dealing with this? And also, has there been anybody on the chat across America? Okay, obviously this is only for America because this is what's going on in America. But for those that live in America right now, let me know if you've seen any. Out here in California, I haven't seen really any news of people shoplifting or anything like that. But in the days to come, I would imagine that something like that would become, very prominent. So we shall see. You know what? On this bonus stream right now, let us see what is going on in in that aspect right now. Let us see if we have anything going on for that matter. Let me see. EBT riots. That is, let's see what is going on with that one right here. SNAP benefits during, okay. EBT wars, LD under fire, stamps, looters now tar. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this is good content right here. Russian newsman. All right.
In the Win with Zen sweepstakes, you can get a chance to win $100,000. But there's more than one way to win.
Okay, so this was 2 days ago. So shout out to Cinema Shogun for this content right here. Okay, so this is Russian newsman. We go and we talk about EBT wars in America. You see, in Russia, we have a thing called communism. We do not need to worry about food. We do not need to worry about these things that you Americans have to worry about. Okay, but this is what's going on. So what they gonna do now? People gonna steal from your store, and all these people gonna steal from you and all this because you don't want to give them this. This is bullshit. He says, Jamal says this world is going to trash. Yeah, bro, I hear you on that. Mike Long says, I see people running out the store with food and beer, but I live in the ghetto. Oh, okay, is that today? And what part of the United States are you from, Mike? Let me know just so I can get some context on that. Okay, so here it is right here.
This shit overly loaded. All these rats on me, I can't even hold it. Sheesh. Look at that motherfucker.
Shout out to you, man of God.
Look at that motherfucker.
So they basically walked out with all of this.
Load.
Okay, and look at this. Like, look, I get it that, but this is all like junk food though. You know what I mean? Like, this is all like food that's just going to give you diabetes. It's just going to give you, yeah, you know what I mean? Not necessarily nutritious food or anything like that. Jamal says, I'm from LA. LA or Louisiana, Jamal? Let me know if you mean LA or Louisiana. It's not food. Yeah, you're right. It's not food, but it is considered food considering the fact that, yeah, it's something that can be bought from EBT, but yeah. You know what I should do? I should do a video and show all my stuff in my refrigerator and all the meat that I have and say, load. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not one to show off my food or anything like that. But obviously, these people are showing you the crimes that they have committed, right? But yeah, Jamal, let me know if you mean LA or Louisiana. I'm curious to know, my man. And Mike, let me know what part of the world you are from as well. And, you know, you said that you live in the ghetto. Let me know what hood you're from, homie. Okay, so what do we got here? Okay, just more TV dinners. Okay, some milk. I don't know what kind of milk. Okay, some juice. Just eat a whole bunch of... okay, well, there's grapes. Okay, again, more. From Cali. All right, man. All right, from Cali. What part, my man? Let me know what part. He says, what happened with EBT can give you... what happened with EBT? Can you give me a rundown? So, okay, basically there's been a government shutdown going on, right? Because the Republicans in the Senate, the legislative branch of the United States, can't come to an agreement on certain subjects. So what happens is that they call for a government shutdown. When a government shutdown happens, that means that government employees and government assistants, you know, get cut off. So that, in other words, people who are government employees, non-essential government employees, are not getting paid. That doesn't include police officers. That doesn't include, okay, Modesto. Okay, so you're a NorCal guy. All right, man. So you're, yeah, Mike, if you're around Sacramento, don't be a stranger and shout out and, you know, and just give me a shout out. So you know what, man? Surprisingly, man, I've had a few people in Sacramento come up to me and they say, hey, you know, I've watched your channel and this and that. This is how I know there's a lot more people that watch, more than there are people that comment. But to those that comment, I do appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for, you know, sharing me your life story. By the way, Mike, do you listen to Gunner's Collective as well? He's also, you know, a Modesto guy. He's, you know, a prison YouTuber. So, you know, he's from your neck of the woods. But yeah. That's basically what's happening with the EBT right now. So, you know, EBT is closed right now because of the government shutdown. So, yeah, that's what we have going on right now, unfortunately. So, all right, back to this.
Not too much on the meat, y'all. We couldn't get much meat because the refrigerator all the motherfucking packed. So what the fuck more can we do? But we're gonna have to go back and get some more shit because we still ain't low.
This is crazy. You know, with On Deck, we could get a small business loan fast in order.
It's funny how they had a small business loan commercial while we're watching all of this, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be hard for people to get small business loans because of this. Fresh Melon Juice says, Mike, you should start a new gang and take over Cali. Nah, bro, listen. Let me explain something to you, Fresh Melon Juice, in your own, you know, white world that you may not understand about California gangs, right? The gangs in California are already so established that you cannot come up in here and make a new one. Like, you know how other states, they have Latin Kings, they have Gangster Disciples and Vice Lords. We don't have none of that over here. We have Bloods, Crips, Norteños, Sureños, and maybe even... you know, Fresno Bulldogs, right? Which, by the way, was an offshoot of the Norteños, but they decided they wanted to, you know, sort of, you know, start their own gang. He says, yeah, I'm staying out of trouble, brother. Good for you, man. Shout out to you on that. Mike says, I love your channel, brother. Keep it up. Keep it up. Any upcoming fights are you excited for? Yeah, UFC 322. I'm obviously very excited for that one with Islam Makhachev and JDM. So I'm very excited for that one. The higher 13 says, peace and blessings, man. Thank you, my man. Thank you. Thank you to all the positive messages out there and to all you guys out there, man. Shout out to all of you. All right, back to this content of looters in the food stamp EBT shutdown that's been happening lately.
I have a question for everyone here that buys their own groceries. When was the last time that you walked out of a grocery store like that with 3 or 4 buggies filled to the brim with food and snacks and drink?
Well, you know, to be honest with you, Mike, to be honest, I'm sorry, any predictions on the matchups for the White House? Yeah, to be honest with you, Mike, they're not going to start making the White House fights until February. But predictions on the fight that they're going to make, I'm going to predict that Tom Aspinall is going to be put in that card in some kind of capacity. Whether
that would be against John Jones or maybe against Cyril Gane. More than likely against Cyril Gane, they're going to milk this storyline. Let me put the camera on me and not look at that guy when he's not even talking. It, but that storyline, they're going to milk it right all the way to the White House because there's a compelling storyline behind that. And what's interesting about that, it's going to be a French and a British guy for America's birthday. And by the way, who helped us out during the American Revolution? It was the French. Okay, back to this guy and the story of people looting for their EBT.
And what have you. I'm a fat guy, and never in my life have I ever walked out the grocery store with that much food. And I highly doubt that anyone here that buys their own groceries goes to the grocery store and fills up 3 or 4 carts filled with food, especially in today's economy.
He says, bro, I haven't talked to you in a while. I've been wanting to ask you what you thought about the Aspinall fight. I just liked and subscribed. I thought I was already subscribed. Okay, no problem, my man. Sometimes they, I don't know, I think sometimes they unsubscribe you. I don't know why. That's kind of weird, but I don't know if that, yeah, but I've been told by people, that was close to me that that's happened before that. But what I think about it, I think that a lot of people are overjudging Tom Aspinall, right? I think that they are misunderstanding of the situation, but also don't understand that what he took was a business decision, right? So Fresh says, Alex, John, Connor, Nate, Marab, Pantoja, Islam, Usman, Khamzat, and Strickland all at the White House. Okay, so those are your go-to people that are in the White House. We'll see. A little too premature for that. One of these guys could end up fighting sooner, or one of these guys could end up getting injured in the process of that. So we never know. But yeah, I know for sure Connor is taking this seriously. It seems that there's some sort of religious revival going on with Connor right now. And I think a lot of you that are Christians in the MMA world, I think you would probably appreciate that. And let's see if it translates well in his next cage outing or his preparation to step back into the cage.
But the people who do nothing, but maybe have a bunch of kids that they can't provide for, this is the norm for them.
Oh, yes, Mike. That's actually one of the main topics that we were talking about. If you want to hear more about that, rewind from the very beginning or watch from the very start when this live stream is over, which will be soon. So, yeah, So we have talked about it here. And I did make a video on it as well. Please, also, guys, everybody here that's in here, not only check out this live stream, but also check out the videos that I have going on. I think you guys will highly appreciate it. And he says, okay, my bad, I will rewind it real quick. Yeah, man, no doubt, my man, no doubt. Yeah, so, do that exactly. So, okay, let's get back to the EBT Wars story that we are covering right now in this bonus live stream that we are doing right now in the second hour of this live stream. Or is it the second hour? I believe we're about heading into the third, but okay, on any regard, here we go.
This isn't something crazy. This isn't something that happens once in a blue moon or once in a lifetime. This is every single month, often multiple times a month. I don't see any reason why people who supposedly cannot support themselves, why are they eating better, living better than middle-class families who bust their ass day in and day out to provide for themselves and their family? And not only do these people get all of this money to buy these groceries and stuff, they post videos bragging about it. Meanwhile, mothers and fathers sitting at home who just got off of work, maybe worked 12 hours straight, no days off, They got to come home after busting their ass. Maybe they have an hour that they can, you know, go through.
He says votes is the answer, Hat Boy. What do you mean? Oh, you mean like voting certain people out of position? Is that what you mean, Fresh? Yeah, look at this dude. Look at all the wow. Is that a dude or is that, I don't know what that is, but look at this. All that candy and all that junk food that they bought over here.
Social media and look at TikTok because they work all day and then they have to take care of the kids. And as they're going through social media, they see ghetto hood rats, EBT queens that have never worked a day in their life out here just, oh, look at this, reloaded, look at all our groceries. It's crazy. And I don't think people fully understand what's going on here when we discuss the EBT wars. I think a lot of people assume that most of these women that we're seeing having these meltdowns, I think people assume that they're only getting a couple of $100s a month in groceries. Folks, there's a reason why these people are melting down and going so crazy. They're not going this crazy over $200 or $300 a month in food stamps. The reason why they're melting down and going so crazy over this is because many of them get thousands of dollars a month. I'm talking $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a month, folks. And they base their whole livelihood on that. They may spend $1,000 of it on groceries, and then they sell the rest, and they go on little vacations, and they pay their $8
All right, so let's see what Valhalla had to say about this.
Even if Snap is going to get turned on, it's not going to get turned on for a while, and we are already seeing all of this kind of shit.
Man, take a look at this. Yo, that is a crazy scene, bro. That is a crazy scene. Okay, I don't know if he has that very interesting metal song he has there. I don't know if he's got that copyrighted, so I'm gonna just mute that one right there. But shout out to Valhalla on this one right here.
To the channel, everybody, and it is official. As of November 2nd today, SNAP benefits have not gone out to the American people. Somebody that uses SNAP, I'm sure you've noticed that, and it's a lot of confusion going on right now. People saying, well, I thought a federal judge said Trump is required to release the funds. 25 states have sued the Trump administration. While that...
Yep, well, that fell on deaf ears because, yeah, if there's a government shutdown, there's a government shutdown, and there's nothing that Trump could really do about that. But let's hear what Valhalla has to say about this.
That is true, and it looks like funds should have to go out. There's a lot of complications, litigation going on around it, and it's going to take a while regardless. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. We're going to break it all down so you can understand it. And then also, we're going to talk about ways you need to be keeping yourself and your family safe, because whether we like it or not, yes.
Monday.com, the opposite of any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms, not naming names. They all suck. Monday, total opposite. It didn't just work, it spread. And people became Monday evangelists. And you know why? Because people actually liked using it. It's not a chore. It's intuitive. You don't have to force anyone. They're on board.
The looting and robberies have already begun, right? So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Let's jump into the video. Let's talk about it. Let's understand all the legalities to this and what's actually going on with the SNAP benefits. All right, so what exactly is going on? Yes, SNAP benefits have not gone out to the American people, but like we said, federal judge overruling the Trump administration is going to force their hand to do it with these contingency funds. And these contingency funds, as you see here, it's about what we're getting reports of in between $5 and $6 billion, okay? The monthly cost of SNAP is about $8 billion, so by doing this, what they would be doing is giving everybody roughly, I don't know, 70 to 80% maybe of what they typically would get for a month of SNAP. Now, obviously, that's not the best case scenario. It's better than nothing, Now, unfortunately, there's a bunch of complications with this, and that's what's going to cause these funds to not go out for probably multiple weeks, even though they're being required to do so. But before we talked about that, you might be wondering, well, if there was $6 billion in contingency funding ready, why didn't the Trump administration just release it already? Like, why would you withhold that? Very interesting. So what happened was, or what initially these reserve funds were supposed to be used for by the Department of Agriculture, by definition, is because of a government shutdown or a disaster. Well, that's one of those two things, when a government shutdown. However, about 10 days ago, the Department of Agriculture just quietly removed government shutdown as the second reason. So yes, real scumbag move, but they got caught. And so, yes, a federal judge said, no, sorry, you are required, federal government, to release those funds to the American people because that is what Congress appropriated them for initially. So, great, funds are supposed to go out, right? Well, not so fast, because there's two stipulations to go through with this, okay? So, there's stipulation 1, which says if the Trump administration decides to release 100% of the funding, as in finding extra funds to do the full $8 billion, and have that out by today, then those SNAP benefits would most likely go out very quickly. What's going to happen, though, if it's just a percentage of what was supposed to be the total amount, as in the $6 billion instead of 8, that is actually going to take weeks because the states have to figure out how to appropriate those amounts. And typically these SNAP benefits and the exact amount are appropriated like 2 weeks before SNAP ever goes out. So the earliest anybody's probably going to see their SNAP benefits is probably 7 to 14 days. So that's where we're at now. Yes, the Trump administration.
Okay, so in other words, there's a whole lot of technicalities that are going into this that's going to make it a while for people to get their SNAP benefits. Okay, so let's get this news article right here, and then I'm gonna go into some bonus content after this. So.
Local food banks are stepping in with SNAP benefits still on hold for millions of Americans.
Today is the first day the benefits aren't being paid out as the White House asks for clarification on how to proceed during the shutdown. Judy Wang reports on community efforts on the South Side.
Lines started forming at 6 a.m.
If you don't have one of these, they are coming around right now and registering people.
78th place.
It's been very nerve-wracking not knowing what to do. I have a daughter and 6 grandkids, and they have to eat.
Around the corner, down Troop.
I am grateful for programs like this. Not just to help myself out, but help other people, so whatever, you know.
And on Racine, outside St. Sabina Church.
It's really ridiculous because people do have children and seniors don't have food. It's really fortunate to have this program.
On the day SNAP funding was to lapse, the Greater Chicago Food Depository handed out several thousand boxes of food at 6 sites.
God bless you, ma'am.
2 federal judges in back-to-back rulings Friday ordered the Department of Agriculture to pay SNAP benefits.
So there you go, right? The Department of Agriculture was told to give out these SNAP benefits
Out of a contingency fund. Both gave the Trump administration until Monday to provide an update on the program's funding. The administration contends it does not have the authority to pay until Congress ends the shutdown. The president posted, "I do not want Americans to go hungry because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government. Therefore, I've instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible."
A government shutdown has never brought the end of SNAP, and so this is unprecedented.
42 million Americans rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Have a blessed day.
Food bank operators bracing for spikes in demand are encouraged by the court rulings, but there's still a lot of uncertainty.
When payments will be loaded onto people's individual SNAP EBT cards. And so until we know that all of our neighbors have full SNAP benefits restored, we're going to be here.
They're saying that they're going to put it back on. I've been watching, updates on it. So I saw something about it's going to be a delay, but they're going to put it back on. So thank God.
All right, well, there's no guarantees of that. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to call it quits on this one. I'm going to give you guys some bonus content right now. Darren Till set to take on Carl Froch. By the way, I put this on my members-only section right now, but I will show you guys this for the duration of the live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoy this. Will Darren Till take on Carl Froch in the near future? Let's find out. And by the way, influencer boxer is on the rise. Andrew Tate right now owns Misfits Boxing. What does that mean for the world of influencer boxing? Let's see. Can Carl Froch get beat up by Darren Till, or can Carl Froch still go out there and beat the likes of Darren Till? You never know. Let's find out, okay? Let's go back to this right here. All right, here we go. So Darren Till is going to go into why Darren Till has beef with Carl Froch. Here we go.
He's going around everyone, isn't he? And obviously the other day, that was so funny with Dave Allen, just put it straight to me. I laughed at that, and obviously I know you interviewed Eddie and Eddie's a little bit. He doesn't like saying things because he knows why. But what I want to say is, I want to just jump on the topic of like pure boxing compared to MMA, compared to striking, right? I'm gonna give a little in-depth. I'm gonna give a little in-depth as well to actual boxers. Now, I've been in boxing out 2.5 years. Obviously, been about some.
So Darren Till is going to go into the reason, or just explanation of the difference between boxing and MMA.
The gym around, some of the best pros you can get in the world, and whatnot. And look, I've sparred high-level professional boxers a couple of times about me. I'm not beginning to get this. Not once in 2.5 years have I felt once in trouble in the ring where I've needed to get out. I'm usually pushing from directly to Carl, so Carl just understands a little bit more. And this might even frighten him, but no, it's not. It's not just purely about boxing. Carl is a better boxer than me. That's the reality of things, even now in his age of 46. Don't get me wrong.
So Darren Till is admitting that Carl Froch is a better boxer than him. But I think he's going to go into the reason why he thinks he can beat Carl Froch, and let's hear it out.
I've got this, and it comes out, you know when you strike for all your life, and bear in mind, I'm a gifted striker. When it comes to hand-to-hand combat, elbows, knees, kicks, clinch, and boxing, I'm a very gifted striker. There's not many good people in there who ever have to, like...
Okay, listen up. If you...
Knockout against all Masvidal. I've been in there with the best strikers, Stephen Thompson, Robert Whittaker.
Now, this is true. One thing that Darren Till is trying to explain to you guys is that he's a formidable striker. He knows how to use his distance, knows how to engage his range. He knows how to engage in different close range to further range. And not only that, he knows how to strike, he knows how to counter, and he's trying to explain how this all translates to boxing.
And that's what Cowboy Stroney, even in my Thai career, stuff like that. Striking's an art form, and what comes with that is much more. The thinking of it, the distance control, the feint, setting up shots,
setting up shots, lad.
Stuff like that. So Carl's coming on and Carl's going on, yeah, I can beat Till, even in Carl's hate, like, it wouldn't have been a walk overnight, I'm telling you, maybe in a world of boxing, but, like, a lot more comes with striking, and make no mistake about it, everybody knows, everybody's saying to me, and everyone understands fighting. I am a masterful, I think it is, striker. Even people who spar me, they say to me, they're like, I know your left hand's coming, but I can't time it. Like, it's still, and I'm like, yeah, because I don't just throw my left hand willy-nilly, I'm setting it up with much more than just...
So what Darren Till is now trying to explain is that in MMA, there's different feints and different setups that they may not really understand in boxing. And also, take this into consideration, right? When you got two high-level boxers in there, their entire plan is to react to everything. Sit back, react, right? And as you sit back and you react,
there's other variations and other variables that can go into that as well, right? But I'm gonna let Darren Till explain what he means by that.
Jab, left hand, like I'm setting it up with like tactical feints and footwear, position and headwear and all that stuff.
And remember, the footwork in MMA is a lot different, right? And it's not something that most boxers are used to. They are trained, once again, what I told you is to react to whatever is being thrown at them. And this reaction is sort of something that you can read as a high-level guy because other high-level guys are doing it too. But if you bring in somebody outside of a sport, such as MMA, such as kickboxing, with different types of ranges, different types of timing, it could be a different ball game.
But it's pissed me off a little bit at this point with Carl. It's just like, yeah, jab his head off. You won't, you actually won't, and you wouldn't have in your heyday because I can strike. Now, forget boxing, like boxing. In the ring, I can still use some of my moves from I'm 32 now, my 15 years of striking more. Like, you learn a lot on the road, Charlie, and you have it's like what I have in my brain now can't be bought. What I've learned over the years and what I've dedicated my life to, like, make no mistake about it. Whoa, man, amazing. Since I was 13 years of age, I've never done anything else. I've never ventured into anything. I haven't sat there doing podcasts. I haven't sat there doing this. I've purely lived in the gym. Even when I left MMA, I just straight into the gym, no days off, hardest working in the gym. Like fighters would come in and out of the rotunda, they do camps, and then I don't see them.
Sean Boy says a Liverpool accent is so different anywhere else in England.
I have been the only one.
Because it's sort of Irish derivative, that accent, right?
2.5 years with maximum 2 weeks off. This has probably been the longest I've had off from the gym, but I had like things to do. See my daughter, stem cell treatments, obviously.
Me daughter? Me daughter?
The little holiday that I've earned.
A little holiday? Lad?
So like, Carl, this is directly to Carl.
Oh, here we go. He's about to trash Carl Froch. Here we go. Who's ready for Darren to trash Carl Froch? Let's hear it.
That he understands. It's not just gonna be boxing. I have other.
Mate, I fucking love it, lad. I fucking love it.
Moves. Like,
moves?
That doesn't mean kicks, elbows.
Kicks, elbows?
Striking moves. And you just need to be very careful on where you're back, because
Carl Froch needs to be very careful about me striking. Yeah, the New York accent is cool too.
It's not a case of, yeah, we're just going to boxing job. I have a full armory behind me in my brain, my body muscle memory that I know how to use and apply.
Me body and muscle memory that I know how to use?
When I'm in there, so it's like...
When I'm in there?
I hope he sees this. I think he's going to see it. Just understand that it wouldn't be a case of in your heyday going out, you jabbing my head off. Because even when I used to train MMA, I'd sparred top pro boxers in Team Calvin, and when I'd trained in Europe and Thailand, and
in Europe and Thailand. By the way, listen, this is a very important fact that Darren Till is bringing up here. He does a bunch of different accents. I told you Kyrie is a race whisperer. There it is, man.
Without sounding big at the Charlie, because I'm not a liar, everyone knows no lie. Make no mistake, I've never once felt out of my depth. Ever, when it comes to sparring.
Ever?
There's a
ever?
And his name is Brandon, he's a heavyweight. And he's the one guy when after the spar, I said to my coach, definitely like, fuck me, I said, get that guy back next week. He is absolutely pouring on me, like, and I couldn't figure him out. It was very hard, because I'm very good at figuring out styles and stuff like that, Charlie. Like, give me a round or two, and I'll have you figured. I'm very clever and tactical. As much as people just think I'm a rant and I'm a raver, and whatever.
I'm a banter and a raver?
Very, like, when it comes to the...
Like when it comes to...
The art of striking.
Like, the art of striking? Like, I I know what I'm doing in there. You know what I mean? I know what I'm doing in there with the striking.
Yeah, I don't want to say mastered it because you don't say that, but I've dedicated a hell of a lot of years and I've got a hell of a lot of beer. So I need to understand all this jabbing my head off and this and that. It just will not be the case. Especially now, 46, I'm going to be honest with you. Him clean out.
I'm going to knock him clean out. You know what? Usually, British dudes, they love to say, I'm going to knock him Spock out, right? That's usually the thing I have heard Tommy say that. I've heard Tommy Fury, to be exact. I've heard his brother, Tyson Fury, say that. I'm going to knock him Spock out. I'm going to knock the Dawson Spock out. Yeah. Yeah. Victory says, do you have all the transgender stuff going on in Ireland, Sean? Oh, okay, he's asking him a question about the transgender stuff in Ireland. Okay.
Make no mistake about that. In his heyday, different story, pure boxing, but it still wouldn't have been a case of him just, you know what, Eddie and stuff and that, saying Eddie's never had a fight. Eddie promotes. Eddie.
Of course, Eddie is always going to say that Carl Froch is going to beat the living heck out of Darren Till, right? Because, look, it is what Eddie does. This is also part of the reason why he's beefing with Dana White right now, right? He's a boxing purist. Boxing guys are going to go with boxing guys, and they're going to believe in boxing guys in the world of boxing. But I tell you what, I agree with Darren Till. This is not an easy win for Carl Froch. He's a little bit older. Darren Till is very tricky in the way that he boxes. And not only that, he has his fundamentals down pat. So he's going to be a very tough fight for Carl Froch. I would say Darren Till is the favorite going into this fight. Let me know what you guys think on a comment section below. Victor says, I was really impressed with how Till looked against Rockhold. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in boxing. So are you looking forward to him fighting Carl Froch? Do you imagine how big that fight will be? Carl Froch, if he doesn't remind you and he doesn't tell you enough, he can bring in 80,000 people in Wembley Stadium. You know what I mean? I could bring 80,000 people in Wembley Stadium. Did you know that? Did you know that? Me, Carl Froch, I brought 80,000 people in Wembley. Did you know that? Did you know that about me? Yes, Carl, we know. We know, Carl. 80,000. Or was it 90,000? Well, you know what? If you come to think of it, maybe it was 90,000. But yeah, perhaps. Darren Till, I'm going to knock you Spock out, Darren Till. There is no way you're easy work for me. You're absolute easy work for me, Darren Till. That's it.
As promoter boxing, Eddie does not understand the world of striking.
Eddie doesn't understand the world of striking?
Setting up shots, movements, distance.
Setting up shots, movements.
Control, elbows, kicks, knees, clinch, all that stuff. So...
But to be fair, Darren, Eddie doesn't really need to know about clinches, elbows, and any of those things if you are going to fight Carl Froch in a boxing ring. Just saying.
You know, I just felt like I needed to get that off my chest because at this point, this narrative of, I know it's boxing versus MMA, but most of these MMA fighters you turn over are all shit. Okay, if you're a courtroom trainer, I've got a really good question.
He says that all of these MMA fighters that are fighting in boxing are shit, but what makes them different? Well, I'll tell you what makes them different, right? Here's what makes Darren Till different. Okay. Number one, I told you guys in the Luke Rockhold fight, right? If you have an MMA fighter who's American, and then you have a British fighter who's an MMA fighter also, but is British, I'm going to go with the British guy in the boxing realm. You want to know why? Because the British guys, it is literally one of the first martial arts that they learn to do, right? Most MMA guys in Ireland and in the UK, they all started their first martial arts in boxing. Think about that.
Well, you beat me. These MMA fighters you turn over are all shit. Dog shit. Dog shit, all of them. Even Woodley, who beat me, he choked me out. Shit. watching these interviews where I'm just slating people on that because I just think they're all diddies. Eddie sat there, it's like, you know.
Whoa, did he say they're all diddies? Hey, no diddy. Hold up. No diddy on that.
Yeah, boxing and MMA, but when you just purely striking, like I have been my whole life, it changes the dynamics a little bit. And if you or the many others don't believe me, bring up the coaches or ask every coach sparring partner that's gone down the boxing gym and just say what was tailored to spar. Because everyone I've done had the same reaction after they got out there in me. Fuck me, I did not know you were that good. And that's not being blowing my own trumpet, I'm just stating facts here. So this like little tiny narrative of it just jumped.
I agree with Darren Till, right? When I started seeing him box, right, I didn't know he was that good either. I really had no idea. Darren Till is really a good boxer, okay? And I think the Luke Rockhold fight absolutely showed that, right? Let's take a look at Darren Till's boxing record right now, okay? Let's take a look at his boxing record because, yes, this is going to give us some clear indication of some things. So, okay, let's start from the very beginning, right? Anthony Taylor. Prior to that, Anthony Taylor had boxing matches with multiple people, one being with Tommy Fury, okay? Darren Stewart, former UFC fighter, right? Very interesting about Darren Stewart. Many people who have fought Darren Stewart, they were told, hey, you're going to fight this English guy named Darren. Guess what? It's not Darren Till, it's Darren Stewart, right? He won by a unanimous decision on that one, and that was back in May of 2025. And then Luke Rockhold just recently, right, showed great boxing skills in a way where he was sticking with a jab, and then as he jabbed, he goes and he hooks, right? This is Darren Till's whole entire game right here, right, in boxing. But it works. And it's not just this. It's not just this that he's doing, okay? He's also using the footwork that he had mentioned. Victor says, absolutely, that combo he hit him with was beautiful. Yes, man. Yes, that combo. You're talking about the Luke Rockhold fight, right? Yeah, I believe we're on the same page with that, right? It's the Luke Rockhold fight that you're talking about with the combination. And then he had one exhibition that was back in 2024. I believe he was supposed to fight Tommy Fury in that one. But yeah, okay. So, all right, let's get back to what Darren Till was saying here. Yeah, in finishing a combo, he hit him with that uppercut and that straight. Yes, so that uppercut and that straight. So, yeah, he understands combos. He knows how to go from here to, you know, here and then here, right? Like, he understands striking, and, yeah, man, he could be a serious problem for Carl Froch for damn sure. So, all right, let's get back to Darren Till.
Yeah, no, you fucking love it, mate.
Darren. Because I'm sure if this fight comes up, then that's almost like one that you go in there as a bit of like ammunition, and you think, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to go in there and prove that.
Yeah, no, that side is true, but the other side is it's other people as well. It's like it's the narrative of look, boxing on its own is a completely different sport from MMA. I've been in the rotunda and I've watched the pros, I've watched how they move, I've watched how the punch placement is. It's totally different. It is. You can't just move from MMA to boxing and fight top guys and expect to win other than a lucky shot. But that's not the case for him. So I'm trying to give it a little bit of an education. And there's gonna be people in the comments bearing man sat on the couch eating fucking Walker's crisps, giving their 2 pence, and everyone's entitled to.
What did he say? Eating what? Waffles crisp or Walker's crisp? Let me know in the comment section below. Those that understand Scouser Liverpool accent, what he said. Victor says, yeah, Till versus Perry in a BKFC would be huge, but I doubt it will happen. Till isn't stupid. He knows that would be a hard-ass fight. Yes, and he also understands that, look, he's not going to go into a BKFC fight with Mike Perry. You want to know why? That world is unpredictable and it's hard to control. You know what Darren Till has learned in the world of boxing? He's learned control. In the world of boxing, you can control things if you have the proper skills in striking, okay? In MMA, it is an unpredictable sport. And it is those same unpredictabilities that was the downfall of Darren Till's MMA career. The fact that he was a better striker than Dricus du Plessis, but yet Dricus du Plessis was able to take him down and finish him off. The fact that Tyron Woodley out-grappled him and submitted him, none of that is going to happen in the world of boxing. A world where if you are sufficient enough in what you do, you can control the narrative of the actual fight on fight day. Okay? That is why he has chosen boxing, because he understands, hey, you know what? This is a sport that I can easily control. This is a sport that I can easily manage, because I have the proper striking, the proper pedigree, and on top of that, the proper technique to do what I need to do to win fights and not have to worry about the unpredictability, because there is no unpredictability with this. Me doing this and my opponent coming back at me with this. There's no elbows coming my way. There's no knees coming my way. There's no kicks coming my way. There's no takedown shots coming my way. There's none of that. There's only these hands. And with these hands, I see those two hands that you are throwing, and that's all that I need to look at. Because sometimes, look, in MMA, you need to have a hyper-vigilant mind in order to fight perfectly in MMA, and sometimes that is almost impossible for a human being. What do I mean by hyper-vigilance? Meaning that you're looking at his hands, you're looking at his legs, you're looking at the position of his legs, where he's going to try and plot a shot, right? And when I mean shot, I mean like takedown shot, right? Where he's going to set up the kicks, how he's going to set up a combo with the kicks and the punches. What is going to happen if he gets my back? And then all the things that you have to worry about. Okay, now I got to risk control him from the back if he is, behind me, or if you're the one on top. You got to learn. You got to think about how you're going to control him while you're also punching him at the same time, while also thinking of ways to create submissions, but also thinking of ways on how to keep him down there, right? Maintain ground control. So there's a lot of hypervigilance that your mind has to exhibit when you are fighting in an MMA setting. Whereas with boxing, there's a reason why they call it an aerobic sport and not an anaerobic sport in the way that you would mention for wrestling or MMA. Because when you are in an aerobic state, you can see everything clearly, and on top of that, there's only two things that you got to watch out for: these hands. So the best boxers in MMA, such as Max Holloway, such as Ilia Topuria, they know how to make the fight in that aerobic pace. Max Holloway does it. Next thing you know, he's throwing combinations at you, and next thing you know, he's knocking guys down and, maintaining that boxing range and that boxing aerobic pace that he's putting on, right? So Darren Till understands this, and he also understands that, like MMA, BKFC is an unpredictable sport as well. I know a lot of people are saying that BKFC is the origins of boxing. Yes, you could say that the sport evolved, or you could say that that's a completely different sport. I'm not mad at either argument. What I will say is that Mike Perry has mastered the art of violence in the world of unpredictability in BKFC. He's mastered that. Darren Till has yet to master that. What Darren Till has mastered is the art of sport striking. And what Mike Perry has mastered in the striking of BKFC is the art of violence and chaos. The sport of MMA is also a world of violence and chaos. Not the way that boxing is, where you can control everything, literally control everything, not just the fight itself, but the promotion and the matchmaking and how you build up your career.
saying anything without now brilliant coaches, saying or no, understand what I bring to the table when it comes to striking. Now, I've been learning the art of boxing for 2.5 years, but that's not to say while I was MMA, do people just think we don't use our hands, we forget it. Like, we have a day or two a week where we do focus purely on boxing. And bearing in mind, I started in boxing before.
That's a very good point. There are days where MMA fighters do dedicate boxing, right? But not at the level that boxers do. So on those days that you work on boxing, you're basically just working on the basics of boxing, your 1-2s, your combinations. But then the boxers, not only are they working on their 1-2s and their combinations, they're also working on slips. They're also working on foot movements. Also, did you know little techniques like stomping, your opponent stomping on your foot if you are in close range? Not a lot of people see little things like that. And also the clinches, how to use the clinch in a way to mitigate danger or even just set up a hook, or all of these different intricacies in boxing that really the MMA fighter has no time to prepare for.
Anything else, and I had a few unlicensed fights against good pros back in the day. So, like, this is more of an educational interview to let people understand that. And let Carl understand it just wouldn't be a case of, like, you jab him out. And also, I can change from boxing stance to go to the striking stance, whether it be MMA, Muay Thai, and that, mate, that fuzzes heads just because I've done it sparring these pros and boxing, and it confuses them because they're not used to it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say, Charlie.
So, as of now then, where are we at? Because I don't want to say things have gone a little quiet, but I was at the Eubank Ben Media Day a couple of weeks ago, and Carl Froch was there. He was doing pieces with both Ben and Eubank, and he's kind of going around sussing people's opinions of the fight. We've seen that online in kind of public interviews as well. He was out in Vegas for Canelo Crawford. The only thing any of the media were asking him about was the fight with you. Now, we've seen this week, he's posted the last dance, it's a photo of him and Rob McCracken, he's got the gloves on. Just on your end, are we kind of at a point where this is...
Does that sound... Wow, that sounds like Carl Froch is really interested in this fight. And Carl Froch is actually arrogant enough to believe that he could probably beat Darren Till, but look at Darren Till's face. It's like, I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that. I think I could beat this guy.
Finally looking like something that could materialise.
It's gone quiet.
How strong are permanent teeth?
Was it me? Not because of Carl, because Carl's just doing what Carl is doing. He's just building his YouTube, keeping clouds, keeping his name relevant, because that's what he cares. But when I'm done with the sport of fighting, Charlie, you'll probably never see me again. I don't go to shows. Other than me messaging you then, I don't give a fuck about...
You know what? I absolutely believe Darren Till. I absolutely believe Darren Till. I believe him. I believe when he says that when he is done with this sport, okay, that he's never going to be seen again. I believe him. I also believe that Carl Froch is the type of guy that cares about clout. He cares about his image. He cares about this, that, and the other. And he cares about reminding you of the fact that he has 80,000 people to watch him in Wembley Stadium. Okay, so there's a difference in personalities between them. And I believe Darren Till, he's right about that. All right, more on Darren Till.
I don't go to shows. Other than me messaging you, Ben, I don't give a fuck about doing interviews. I don't actually really give a fuck. After the fight, when I'm done, whether my name's relevant.
Look, I believe him, right? Darren Till is not a very flashy guy. You don't see him with chains, with jewelry, or designer clothes, or anything like that. The most Darren Till is a type of guy to, let's say, wear Jordans, right? He would wear Jordans, but he would have a normal top. He would have just normal jeans, off-brand jeans. But that's about it. That's the most that he would do. Or he would have off-brand shoes and have, let's say, Ray-Ban sunglasses, or maybe a little expensive that, maybe a Versace sunglass, but then the rest would be just normal. Like, that's Darren Till, right? He's very subtle in the way that he expresses himself, in the way that he also carries his lifestyle as being anti-materialistic.
I'm just a man of very few things. Trust me on that. I won't really give a fuck out there. It's gone quiet because of me, because what more is there for me to do? I call them out. It's been big. Everyone's chatting about it.
I think what Darren Till needs to do is push the issue on Carl Froch, right? Victor says, you seem to be the same way, Kyrie. And well, you know what? Yeah. You know, I think that's why I like Darren Till, other than the fact that he's a ally of Kamzat, of course. But yeah, I think that me and Darren Till sort of share that same sentiment. You know, like, look, man, I have friends that are rap artists. You know what I mean? Like, let me just say this: they wear chains. I don't get it, right? I don't get why they wear chains. I get why they wear chains. I mean, it's obviously part of the hip hop image, but their image is to show, like, well, you know, I have wealth, but you know, a lot of these guys live in the hood. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, well, if you live in the hood, why are you buying a chain that is worth $100,000? Right? Like, wouldn't that $100,000 at least get you a down payment to a very decent apartment, right? Or, you know, maybe even a loft in downtown Sacramento or something like that. But yeah, you're right. I'm not big on materialism. Like, to me, I look at resources as like, hey, you know what? I'm able to do this. I'm able to do that. I can buy this. I can buy that's, yeah. And I think Darren Till is in that same trajectory.
There's no more random and raving I can do on Twitter. I'm not face to face with him.
Oh, and I really think Darren Till does need to do a lot to get Carl Froch. Look, he needs to go disrespect him. He needs, and I know that sounds very controversial, but guess what? If you're going to get Carl Froch fired up, you got to get him fired up. And on top of that, I think you can already lure him into the idea that, hey, I'm just an MMA fighter and you are the pure boxer, and that could be the reality of this situation.
You know, there's nothing else I can do. I'm just like, I'm at a like crossroads. You either want to fight me, give me a date. I know you said you said you needed 4 weeks, and then you said to the zone you needed 6 months or a year.
Okay, so when Carl Froch said that he only needs 4 weeks, that's just him bluffing. You know what I mean? That's him bluffing. He's just saying that because, Darren Till, I only need 4 weeks for Darren Till. But in reality, Carl Froch knows this is a hard fight. This is not a Mayweather-McGregor situation. This is not, what else is a boxer versus MMA fighter? Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou situation, or a Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou situation. Leandro says you're right on Carl Froch's bluff. Yeah, man, a lot of boxers, shout out to Leandro for that comment, a lot of boxers absolutely bluff, right? Especially when it comes to fighting fighters outside of boxing. Because remember, they have to keep up the honor of being a boxer. You know what I'm saying? Being a boxer that can beat up the MMA fighter. But I've said this before over and over again, right? Not all MMA versus boxing matches in boxing are made equal. Remember Clay Collard? He was a UFC prelims fighter. Next thing you know, during the pandemic, he goes into boxing, fights at a top-ranked shows, and beats up all these other prospects, undefeated prospects that top-ranked promotions was trying to prop up. Leandro says it's about their image and status. Correct.
Just tell me, because I'll wait for you. I don't mind waiting as long as there's certain aspects in place, like, you know, I get compensated when he does ultimately pull out the fight or stuff like that. So there's not. I'm very easy to work with, Charlie. I don't even need the contract when it's there to be signed. They send me a DocuSign and I sign it as quick as I can and whatnot. I don't care.
Hold up. Listen, Darren, don't just sign it. Read. Find out what you're going to make out of it, and talk to your lawyers. That's the best advice I could give you. But all right, continue on, my man.
You want to make the weights, you want to make the gloves, you want to do all of that. I genuinely, I'm not really too arsed, because when you can fight, you can fight. You got all them other small things that Floyd Mayweather brought into the world of boxing as sort of ruined the world sport of boxing a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, the hydration cause and all that. That was him. Obviously, he's one of the greatest heavyweights at ticket as well, isn't he? But it's like, I'm not too arsed. You know, when I see Chris Eubank and Conor Ben, more Chris talking, they were at the press and Chris was like about all these obstacles that were getting put in the way. Whether he was until he was, I'm just like, why do all these guys care so much? Why is that he's doing the shenanigans that the say he's doing? Why?
I'll tell you why, Darren. They care so much because it's called the Princess Boxing Syndrome. The Boxing Princess Syndrome, whatever you want to come first. Yeah, the Boxing Princess Syndrome is the best way to put it, right? Everything that he just mentioned about these clauses that Floyd Mayweather has put, all of this, that, and the other. He's absolutely right about that. It is nothing more than just, boxing princess business. All right.
I get it, but with me, Charlie, I'm just so easy to work with. So as I said, I'm here and willing.
Quick and secure foam mount.
The problem with MMA fighters is that they're easy to work with, so therefore it's easy to exploit you in the process.
Make a date. Let's make the fights. Go to Misfits. Give them something they can work with. They know what they're getting from me, Misfits. And that's it. Other than that, Charlie, there's no more to be said than Carl. Don't mind people asking for their opinions. And I don't know why he's asking for their opinions, because he'll have already, made his mind up anyway. I don't get it. But as I say, I don't know Carl.
What does he mean by when Carl Froch is asking for other people's opinions? Let me know in the comment section below.
I think he's a bit of a belay to it.
Victor says, I heard that Till kept trying to change the weight for the Luke Rockhold fight. So in other words, he was playing boxing princess rules in which he hates so much he's actually engaged in it himself. Interesting. Okay.
I'm honest about it, but other than that,
he said he's a bit of a tit head. See these slangs that these UK guys come up with. You're a sausage. Use a proper sausage, mate. Imagine American dudes dissing each other in the hood, right? Hey, bro, you a mother effing sausage, right? It doesn't sound right. Especially in American hood culture, it doesn't even with normal white people, right? Hey, man, you're a sausage. F you, you freaking sausage, right? It doesn't even sound right in white American voice. But anyways.
You get a bit sick of waiting around, because obviously the last time we spoke,
I don't know what that's frustrating to me. I don't know, he's asking Bellew these stupid questions.
He's asking Bellew these stupid questions. And of course, Bellew and Carl Froch are going to sit there and play Tweedledee, Tweedledum with each other, right? You know what I mean? Bouncing each other back and forth. Oh, yeah, mate, Dad and Till, there's no way Dad and Till is going to beat you. There's no way that, even though he's a scouser, like myself, I'm still going to go with the boxer. That's what Tony Bellew would say.
Trying to stay neutral. Me and Bellew are friends. I like Bellew, but Bellew's also where the boxing Carl would turn him over. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Let's just get that out of that edge right now. He wouldn't. He wouldn't at all. No, he would not. No. That needs to go straight away. But it's just, at this point, it's just every day I just see an interview, and it's him interviewing someone, and it's their opinion. And every time they give an opinion of me, and they're dismissing me a little bit, and I'm just yeah, fuck you as well. Don't be dismissing me. So it's just it's basically just that to everyone in the boxing room right now. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck
yes!
That's right. That, exactly that. So just keep doing the interviews and keep blowing me up. Keep doing it, Carl. And it's Till can't be sat down with. Why would I want to sit down with you? Why would I want to sit down with James the Girl? Why would I want to sit down with Nick Diaz? Why would I want to sit down with any of you? You see,
Darren Till wants all the smoke. And for those of you that are also confused, understand that Scousers don't get knocked out. Okay, now let me say it with my non-American accent, right? Scousers don't get knocked out, lad.
I'm here to make a shitload of money and knock people out because I love knocking.
And knocking people out? Knocking people out?
People out. And right now, I love making money. That's it, Charlie. There's no more I can say on the matter. There's no more ranting and raving and terrorising these absolute nutties on Twitter. There's none of that more that can be done. Do you get what I'm saying, mate?
I do. Let me just ask you this then. The last time we spoke, it was meant to be Dubai in December, right? And it was definitely that you were having a fight before the year's out now. Obviously, there was other opponents which we can briefly mention, etc. But are you kind of in the position now, from what you're hearing from management, that you're kind of happy to put that off before fighting this year, take over, stay ready, and like what needs to be done now? And this is what I'm.
What people even say I should go back to the UFC. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I love it. I was prepared to fight. You know, if Misfits didn't come through, I was prepared to do. I was prepared to do the bare knuckle. I'm 50-50 still on that. You know, it's just not that time right now for that. But as I say, I'm willing to.
When he says it's not that time right now, what he's saying is that the uncertainty of the sport.
Our seat covers aren't just engineered for
boxing, where there is a bag to be had right there.
Yeah, the only things that I needed to do after the fight, I had everything scheduled in. Life's going pretty great, to be totally honest with you. Like, life is really great. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing stopping me from doing what I need to do. Each fight and each camp, and I just stay in the gym, I'll get better and better. I'll learn more. I'll stay just educating myself because I think this is so serious. That's why when like you sort of get dismissed a little bit, he's interviewing all these boxers and look, take him away from the people he's interviewed. They're all obviously amazing, all we're amazing boxers, but at this point I'm just like, yeah, fuck yous all and fuck
yous all
of the opinions. Like, and it's all
making a Dave Allen interview.
Yeah, again, people were like, yeah, it was. They just gave him his opinion, which I love. Just, do you know what I'm saying? Look, brilliant. I've always liked Dave, and I've always thought he's just one of them. I think he's one of them. He needs to make a lot of money from there. You know, he seems like just a normal, average guy. I like it. But again, I like the interviews where people are like, yeah, Carl, you know, you'll do that and stuff like that. But again, it's just, you know, going around the houses, asking people his opinions, wanting to keep relevant. I don't know whether he needs money or he doesn't. Again, I don't know anything about the guy, honestly.
Yeah, so at this point, Darren Till doesn't care if this guy needs money or if he's doing it for clout. He just wants to fight Carl Froch, I think, to settle a beef, but also to prove a point. And what point is that? Maybe to prove the point that he does belong in the boxing world, even if Carl Froch is a little bit older. But still, Darren is dismissing his skills at that age, but is also willing to take the credit if he was to beat him afterwards, right? So, sounds like a Jake Paul bid to me.
I don't know. I couldn't say no more. There's no more for me to do or say and all this. You know, I seen him and Tony were chatting and Tony's like, you know, Darren's misunderstood. Yeah, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, you know, you can sit down then. I don't want to sit down. What sit down?
He said Darren is misunderstood, just like Carl Froch is misunderstood, just like Patty is misunderstood, just like Molly McCann is misunderstood. What do all these names have in common that I just mentioned? They're all misunderstood because of their accent. Mate, I don't understand what you're saying.
I just sell the fight by being me. No, because I don't sell the fight by orchestrating that. I'm just me. And what you get with me is just real. It's all real. It's not fake. I go off energy. You're nice to me, I'm nice to you. But most of the time, I'm just going to be a couple of boxes, especially the Eagles. So, you know, get me there. I'm just going to stuff, but I don't need to sit down and all back 3 phone calls. Yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that. Because I'll just do me. And as I said there, I'm back to everyone. I'm here
for Darren Till, right? He just wants to fight. He doesn't really care about all of this, that, and the other. And that's all that he really cares about here is the fight, right? All right. If you want to watch the rest of that, check out, what is this, Stomping Ground. Obviously, this was 3 days ago, just right before the David Allen and the Arslan Makhmudov fight. Also on that same weekend was Charles Oliveira versus Gamrot. So yeah, if you want to check out the rest of that, yeah, go ahead and check it out. All right, y'all, stay tuned for bonus stream. All right, welcome to the bonus stream. Let me read what you got here. Are you anti-Jew or the other people in the Middle East? I don't understand what you mean by that. Anti-Semitic people often claim Israeli Jews aren't Semitic, so that's what makes it confusing. Excellent choice. Yeah, excellent choice when you mean doing a bonus stream. Yeah, of course, man, of course. Okay, a little context on that. It says, Jews, Muslims, Christians, Hindus, and atheists, and others. Are you going to let Dirty Fiji spin your block? Dirty Fiji is on your ass. I don't understand what Dirty Fiji is talking about. Yeah, I don't understand what he said. Hi. I don't understand. What did Dirty Fiji Water say? Dirty Fiji Water, that's an interesting name, considering that right now there is this recall that they have going on for Fiji Water going on right now, right? I don't know if you heard about that, but yeah, it's quite interesting. It's little thing they got going on right now, like a bit of a recall for Fiji Water. Hold up, let's see what all that is about right now. Fiji Water recall. What is that about? $1.9 million water bottles are recalled. Okay, let's check this out right here.
Recall. The FDA just announced yesterday the recall of 1.9 million plastic water bottles due to quality issue. Yes, you did hear that correctly. That's million. Now, it's not just any water bottle. In fact, it's the popular brand Fiji. And the reason why they're recalling nearly 2 million of their water bottles is because they found 3 traces of bacteria in their water. And this is rather interesting. A lot of us go the extra mile, pay the extra dollar to get this particular brand because it's supposed to be better. What's even crazier too is Fiji has always been questionable for their ethical practices due to the fact that they actually take and steal their water from indigenous lands. And this is the same popular brand that the majority of every celebrity promotes. I wonder why. Not to mention, we don't consider the fact that Fiji water is not just airdropped over here in the United States. They actually have to ship it over in crates and then go through temperature changes, microplastic recall. The FDA just announced.
Okay, so Fresh says if you boil regular tap water, this is better than the best spring water in a plastic bottle. Allah Akbar. Yeah, is that true? How true is that, right? Like, what exactly... that would make sense because boiling the water would somehow, I guess, kill a certain level of bacteria. Whereas when you have bottled water that's being shipped from like halfway across the world, yeah, I would imagine that that has some sort of adverse effects or changes that come about as time goes on. So, yeah, man, you know, a lot going on in the world right now, right? When it comes to just, you know, health issues, not only just health issues, but other issues that deal with all sorts of things. So, man, I tell you what, man, crazy times that we are absolutely living in. So, Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes, Americans are waking up. Okay, let's check this out. What is, you know what, Myron is on live right now. Let's see what he's on right now. What he, oh wait, no, Myron is no longer live right now. He's, okay, hold on a second here. You know what? Let me show you. Will fluoride turn you into gay or a frog? I mean, that's what Alex Jones said, right? So I don't know if that has anything, any, you know, realism to that. I mean, I don't know, man. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Oh, Fortnite Simpsons. Wow, they're going to set up a Simpsons Fortnite situation. Okay, interesting stuff. All right. Let's see here. Okay, I wanted to show you this, right? So, when I first moved to California, right, one of the first cities that I had moved into was Stockton, okay? This was around, like, the late mid-2000s. So around that time, they didn't really know anything about Stockton. They didn't understand the reality of Stockton, right? He says, I only drink water from puddles near homeless people. Okay, that's interesting on your part to do that. Hope you don't catch any diseases in that, right? So, okay, I first moved to Stockton when, you know, in the late mid-2000s here in, in Northern California, right? And nobody really knew Stockton. All the people that moved to Stockton were people from Long Beach, people from LA, people from the Bay Area, people from all sorts of parts of California, right? Well, now Stockton, obviously, because of Nate Diaz, right, it's made that town very popular. So as a result of that popularity came new rappers that came out of there, like EBK J-Bo, also MB Nell, a guy who I happen to, you know, be very familiar with his family, by the way. So MB Nell, EBK, J-Boy, or J-Bo, I believe his name is. Bear Fairchild says Stockton is full of Indians now. And you know what? Stockton, you know, got gangs too. Indian gangs, for that matter. But let me show you guys a Stockton that I'm very familiar with. Shout out to Tommy G. He made a documentary about this, and it's kind of putting Stockton on the map right now. Let's check this out right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tommy G. Today, we're in Stockton with the Crips. And blood. And blood. Oh, and blood? Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tommy G. Today, I'm in Stockton with the Crips and the Blood. Hello, folks, my name is Tommy G. Today, I'm in Stockton with some esteemed gentlemen. The Grab Gang, nigga. Grab Gang, nigga. Grab Gang, nigga.
Okay, I gotta cut that off because I don't know if that music is being copyrighted in any way, but...
Hey, 5-0. When the police drive by and they see you, what do you think they think? Oh, I couldn't tell you. You look like you're ready for a mission. Nah, hell no. Stockton, California has long had an infamous reputation for their street gangs, and in fact, the city website says that there is not one neighborhood that is completely free of gang members or gang activity. So let me take you...
So, when I told you guys that Stockton is not free of any gangs, literally it's not. That's why I tell people, look, I made a post a couple of weeks ago, right? I said something along the lines where I said that Conor McGregor is way more gangster than Nate Diaz off the cage. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I say that? The reason why I said that, 6'7", all right, shout outs to Ronnie Mason on that one, my man. The reason why I said that is because Nate Diaz and the Diaz brothers have no gang affiliations in Stockton, and I thought that was pretty weird, right? I mean, look, it's okay if you're a normal person that you don't have any gang affiliations and you're in Stockton, but you're an MMA fighter, right? You're a supposed tough guy, right? So the idea that you are a tough guy and you're not around other tough guys, granted, yes, you're in the gym all day or this and that, but you don't even have any affiliations with anybody at all, right? Nick Diaz has claimed that he had Asian gangs put a gun to his head when he was in high school. I thought to myself, this could never be me, right? You could never have anybody come to me, whether in Stockton or Sacramento or anywhere in California, put a gun on me without any consequences that's going to follow after that, right? Well, why is it that people are going to get away with putting a gun to the Diaz brothers' head, right? Well, that's because they have no gang affiliations. Nobody is behind them in any kind of way. Fresh Melange says the Diaz brothers make balloon animals. I remember when Conor McGregor said that. Meanwhile, here's Conor McGregor. He is part of a gang in Ireland. Okay, he's part of the Irish cartel, and I'm not saying this in any way to snitch. This is all documented, right? This is a fact, right? All of a sudden, these people that have to show up in court to testify against Conor McGregor, next thing you know, their car blows up, or they have people show up at their house. This is what happens when you got people behind you that are willing to do things. Well, with the Diaz brothers, other than what they do in street fights, and granted, outside of the cage, they do hold their own. They're not punk-ass bitches in any kind of way where they're going to back down from anybody, and you've seen that in a documented form, right? They will fight anybody in the streets. But if you were to threaten them with weapons or a group of people with weapons, that is not something they're going to be able to respond to. And I just thought I found that kind of weird. And I don't know, maybe they were just nerds growing up, but they definitely didn't know any of these guys right here. Some of these guys in this documentary right here, I've known some of their uncles, I've known some of their cousins, I know some of the people that they grew up with. I've personally known some of the people that are on this documentary on top of that. The Diaz brothers, man, they are so out of touch with Stockton, it is like as if they're not even from there, right? So that is why I said that Conor McGregor is way more gangster than Nate Diaz outside of the cage, because what is the definition of a gangster? Somebody who's part of a criminal organization. Well, what is so gangster about Nate Diaz? These guys grew up with, white boys in a high school that had a swim team. Now, granted, I'm not one to talk. I mean, yes, can I claim something in Stockton? Of course I can. But prior to that, I was living in a white neighborhood in New Jersey where my high school had a lacrosse team. But even with that, there's people in Stockton that could vouch for me and what I've done and what I've seen and the people that I've been around with in that part of the world. The Diaz brothers can't say that. So just, a little bit of an observation on that note, right? So
office came to be. Let's take it back to the late 80s in Los Angeles, where gangs like the Bloods and Crips were strongly established. You see, this was during the era of the war on drugs, and police here imposed a swift crackdown on gang members, causing thousands of them to relocate to places like Stockton, either to avoid LA's law enforcement or to start a new life after being released from jail. And it didn't take long for the gangs to set up.
Sharif says, my high school had a champion badminton team. Well, there you go. Your school was probably privileged as heck. Jay says, hot up, not too much on Nate or Nick. Hot up, not too much on Nick or Nate. Yeah.
Up shop in Stockton. By the early 2000s, the Bloods, Crips, and Norteños all had turf here. And by the mid-2010s, the Stockton police said that there were more than 70 gangs operating across the city. In fact,
70 gangs, right? So this is why I say, like, how is it that the Diaz brothers portray themselves as, you know, these Northern California gangsters, right? And look, man, listen, this is what people outside of California think of them. They think of them as gangsters. Why? Because, look, every mannerism that you see out of the Diaz brothers, those are gang mannerisms. Now, look, granted, they are not the type of guys that are throwing up gang signs or this, that, and the other. They're not doing that, right? Well, obviously not, because they never were with a gang to begin with. They never really rolled with people that were any thing about that, because guess what? Nick had a gun pulled on him and nothing happened. Nothing happened to those Asian guys that did that to him. Probably know who they are, but that's neither here or there. Okay, so going back to this documentary right here. So Stockton police has documented over 70 gangs operating a city, with 30 being very active. And this is according to Gary Benavidez, a supervisor in the Stockton's gang unit department, right? So, okay, I remember when I had to get my fingerprint for a particular job that I had to do in Stockton, right? It was, you know, something to do with nursing assistants, right? So obviously they need to take your fingerprints, and they need to, you know, they need to make sure that you're not, you know, somebody that's going to hurt the elderly or people of vulnerable status, right? So I go to the sheriff's department, you know, get my fingerprint done. I'm sitting there having a conversation with the sheriff while I'm getting my fingerprint done. He told me flat out, he said, and by the way, keep in mind, this was around 2007, 2008, okay? He said to me, I would never go anywhere in Stockton without a loaded gun. Okay, Fairchild says, Lewis Park is full of lames. Lewis Park is full of lames. Explain why. What is so lame about people in Lewis Park? Elaborate for me on that one. By the way, I'm not here to hood bang on anybody or anything like that. You know, that is not something that I'm keen on doing. Now, I'm not a prude to people that are in gangs. I'm not a prude to people who are, you know, about that life. But the one thing that I will not do is I'm not going to go color bang on somebody because they come from it. I just don't do that, right? I have friends that are both Bloods, Crips, Norteños, Sureños, every type of gang, even the, well, how do I say this? You know, the German painters people, if you know what I mean, you know, also known as the Peckerwoods, you know what I mean? I've been around people like that too, right? And, you know, yeah, man, this is just, there's no problem with any of them, right? And we're talking about Peckerwoods on top of that. So I got no problem with any of them, right? To me, at my age, if I'm going to go ride on somebody, it's going to be based on personal issues, not necessarily issues based on, let's say, you know, because you're from here or this, that, and the other. He says, I sit with Norteños if I go to, oh, wow, okay, so you're with, you know, so you're with the 1-4 then, right? So you're with the Northern Raza, I'm assuming, right? Or is it just because of the fact that you are a Northern California guy? Or, oh, well, okay, we don't need to discuss any of that, even though Mark Haney, you know, for those of you guys who don't know, Mark Haney is a real public figure, right? You know what I mean? So, but, you know, to how much you can disclose the reality of who you are is, yeah, he says, I grew up in it. Family is tied to, okay, so you understand then, you, okay, that's interesting, okay, you are, you are with that. Okay, so I totally understand who you are and yeah, who you're with now. So I totally get it. Okay, so okay. Yeah, this is what this police officer said to me when I was getting my fingerprint done for that job. He said to me that he would not go anywhere in Stockton without a weapon. Now, look, the way that I look at it, I look at it as like, okay, these guys are, you know, your cousins. These guys are your relatives. These guys are your friends. You don't really see them as dangerous in any kind of way. What Marie says on folk and them grave shorty, on folk and them grave shorty. Okay, so yeah, the way that this police officer that was taking my fingerprint, he doesn't look at these guys the way that I do, right? He looks at them as, you know, somewhat dangerous. By the way, this is a white guy, right? You know, a white sheriff who was taking my fingerprints for that job that I was trying to do. So, you know, it's like, all right, he has a different perception of these people, right? Very similar to the Italians that I know in the East Coast, right? I know Italians in the East Coast, and they say to me, they're like, listen, you got to be careful hanging out with these blood and Crip guys in, you know, in California, right? Because I know people from Oak Park Bloods. I know people from 8th Street, Asian Boy Crips. I know people from, you know, all these sections. I know the Samoans, you know, in the section of, you know, of Stockton and also in Long Beach. So, you know, he said to me, he's like, yeah, you got to be careful hanging out with these guys. And I'm like thinking, listen, you're Italian. There's a reason why I'm emphasizing to you guys why they're Italian, right? Think about this. An Italian from the East Coast is telling me to be careful hanging out with people that are about the B's and the C's, right? And I'm like thinking, you're Italian, right? And let me emphasize again, they're Italian, right? So when I'm emphasizing to you that they're Italian, they're not the type of Italians that you would normally see on a normal, let's say, you know, workplace, right? You know, Italian Joe from, you know, such and such. I mean, when I say Italian, they're really Italian. Mark says, most of my family members turned NF. Okay. Yo, what's up? Well, yeah, what's up? You must be confusing me with someone, but okay, shout out to you on any regard. You know, Sexton over there.
Fast forward to today, Stockton's still rolling deep with gangs. Just recently, there was a massive initiative, Operation Boogeyman, where law enforcement targeted EBK, short for Everybody Killer, a gang that police called one of the city's most dangerous. And in this operation, dozens of gang members were taken down in that sweep. So today, I'm linking up with a Crip set right here in Stockton, one that has an interesting mixture of Asian and black cliques, and together we will visit a few active battlegrounds.
So, okay, that's something I gotta, you know, really emphasize with you guys, right? Like in Stockton, you know what I noticed? The type of mixing that I see in Stockton, I see a lot of kids that are half Asian and half black. Same thing in Long Beach, right? Asian and black gangs in Stockton and Long Beach are closely tied together, right? Both on the Crip and Blood side, mostly on the Crip side of things, right? In Stockton, there are people who are Bloods and Crips that are friends with each other. I've told you guys that I've been around, you know, people that are on the C side of things, right? I told you guys that I've been around people that are from the Asian side of things, but at the same time, they also have affiliates that are black, whether they're black Crips or Bloods from Sacramento, right? This is just the reality of California. It's not like back in the days where, oh, you see somebody with red, now you go after them because you're on the blue team, or you see somebody with blue and you're on the red team, you go after them. It's not that kind of business now. It's a completely different world, right? It's all mixed up. And that's why I tell you guys, if I got a problem with someone, right, it's not going to be based on because you're from this place or that. It's going to be because I have a personal problem with them, and, you know, that's just how it's going to be settled. But all right, back to this documentary.
Gang territory in the city. But first,
Aaron Pico versus Steve Garcia prediction. Is that a fight that they are putting up, by the way, Water Wheels? Let me know on the comment section below if that is a fight that Steve Garcia is looking for. Is that a fight that he's also called out? I don't think he's called him out, but if he did, let me know on the comment section below.
Quick word from our sponsor. Folks, there are a lot of you out there that play games on your phone. But what if I told you there's a way to play games?
we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little. Talk to each other more. That's what the news is supposed to do.
Ready to win big with Zinn? In the Win with Zinn sweepstakes, you can win $100,000 or win a $5,000.
Folks, we're in what they call NorCal. And the place that we're going to today is not a tourist destination for most. It's the nitty-gritty city of Stockton, famous for the Stockton slap. I hope no one gets slapped today, and we don't see anyone get slapped today, because our man who likes peace. And I think I want...
You want to talk about Stockton slap? I'll give you guys a little story right here, right? So when I first came to Stockton, right, I was hanging out with these Samoan dudes, right? And while I was hanging out with these Samoan dudes, apparently, well, there was this Mexican neighbor that got robbed, right? A Mexican-American family, they got robbed. And they said that they saw me, right? And so the homies asked me, they're like, what's that about? Why are they saying that they saw you? I'm like, I don't know, man. I wasn't there. You know, I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing going on or this, that, and the other. Well, you know, they're saying that they saw you. And then they were going to, look, I didn't even say anything. I wasn't even there. You know what I mean? They alleged that I was there. They alleged that I had done something, that I'd thrown rocks at someone's, you know, car or something like that. Well, anyway, so they told me, they're like, all right, this is what we're going to do, all right? We're going to settle this. You're going to walk up to that dude and you're going to go and slap him. I said, what? I was like, yeah, you're going to go and slap him. You're going to go and slap him for the hood, you know, for the Usos and for, you know, the homies around here. So I was like, all right. I was like, so that's it. That's just what I got to do. I just got to go and smack him up. So I went and slapped him, right? This is a common thing in Stockton, right? Slapping people, right? Obviously, people get snuffed, people get jumped, people get kicked and stomped on. But yeah, the Stockton slap is a real thing, right? Like, it is a thing. So, are you a Trump fan? I like what he does for MMA right now. I wouldn't say that I'm big on his politics right now. In fact, I don't think that he's doing, you know, the best job that he could. But at the same time, you know, how can you really judge? Because I mean, you know, who can really do that job efficiently, right? You know, that's the question at hand, you know. So, all right, so, okay, so I go and slap the homie, right? After I slap him, then all of a sudden, you know, they break us up, right? You know, they made this whole thing. I mean, it was like literally planned, right? So next thing you know, we go to a function, you know, hours later. The same guy that told me to go, you know, smack up, you know, that homie or whatever that said that they allegedly saw me, you know, he goes and does, you know, a little freestyle rap, right? Do you remember when Daz Dillinger said in a rap line, something along the lines where he says, you know, I supply the ninjas that supply the ninjas. Well, this guy who told me to slap someone, you know, he said in a freestyle, he says, you know, I slap the ninjas that slap the ninjas that slap the ninjas. So you're basically saying you would slap me if I didn't go and slap that guy. So guess what I did? I went and boom, you know, smacked him up. And next thing you know, all the other homies were backing us up off each other. And he said, hey, listen, you got to calm down. You got to chill. He didn't mean it like that. You know, he was just basically saying that, you know, that he was just saying it out of tongue in cheek, right? And he was freestyling, right? He didn't really mean that he was going to slap me. But to me, I felt offended because a couple of hours prior, he just told me to go slap somebody. But at the same time, you know, then he goes and makes a rap line about me where he's freestyling at homie saying, I slap the ninjas that slap the ninjas. I mean, come on, man, you know? B Fairchild says, deport APAC ASAP. Yeah, I hold those sentiments as well. Leo Lopez says, I'm the co-owner of a furniture company with my parents. We import furniture from all over the world. But now with these stupid tariffs, we are needing to charge almost 3 times the usual price. Wow. We are scared for our business, for real, for real. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, Leo. Let me know what part of the world you are from. Obviously, you're from the United States, right? Let me know what part of the country you are from. And,
And if you would like, let me know what the name of your business is so I can go give you guys a shout out. Human Made says, do you think Imavov TKOs Khamzat if they fight stays on the feet and if he neutralizes the wrestling? I don't think he's going to stop the wrestling of Khamzat Chimaev, right? Like, I think that Imavov, living in France for so long, he fell in love with striking so much that I don't think he's going to let the striking go in any kind of way. Leo Lopez says, Wisconsin born, raised, but Mexican blood. Okay, man, shout out to my Mexicanos, in the Midwest. Obviously, I got a lot of Mexican partners out here in the West Coast. As you know, you probably have Mexican family out here in the West Coast. Every Mexican I know that's from the Midwest, there's a good chance they have family that's in the West Coast as well. User says, bro, are my messages being blocked? No, I don't see your messages. Maybe you're just saying things that are off the wall, and maybe you're, getting, cut out by, by the admin. I'm sorry, not just the admin, but the moderators, but also maybe even YouTube itself. He says, I do have a lot of family in Fresno, California. Okay, man, shout out to Fresno, California. I'm very familiar with that part of the of California as well. Obviously, a lot of Asians out there, a lot of Asian boy Crips that come out of that, section as well. Also, the Fresno Bulldogs, obviously, a big, Mexican gang, used to be an offshoot of the Norteños, but they broke off into their own thing. And, the Fresno Bulldogs named after Fresno State Bulldogs, mascot. So, all right, man, shout outs to, Fresno. Fresno is a lot like Stockton. There's a lot of similarities in, in just how they are, right? The city, the city and the mannerisms that they have, how the city is built, there's just very, similar. But yeah, user, I'm really sorry that you're saying that your messages are being blocked. I don't know anything about that, but whatever it is that you wanted to say, yeah, please write on the section below. Human Made asks, is Jake Paul and Tank canceled, or was that a rumor? That's not a rumor. Tank has to pull out of the fight because Netflix does not want to do a fight with somebody who is alleged to have had domestic issues. So now Jake Paul is looking for an opponent. The original date was November 14th. The day right before Islam Makhachev and JDM UFC 322, but they had to move that fight to, I believe, December 12th. So Jake Paul will be looking for an opponent in the meantime as that's going on. So, okay. Back to the topic at hand. He said, you listen to Stupid Young, the rapper? Of course, man. Dude, Stupid Young. Yeah, bro. Stupid Young is literally, one of my top rappers that I put on my playlist. So, that probably tells you a lot about, where I'm from and all of that. Yeah, he's cold as F. Yeah, man, I'm surprised that you listen to him, but, obviously you're not from, this part of the world. So, that conflict. Because look, what you guys don't know, right, out here in California, you could get shot for listening to a certain rapper that has certain gang affiliations. Like a buddy of mine, Idris Wasi, who's a BKFC fighter. You guys can look him up. Idris Wasi, when he was fighting for Bellator, was shot out here for listening to, Mozzie, right? And obviously people that, didn't like Mozzie or didn't like the Oak Park Bloods came and shot him because they thought he was a part of it, but he just liked their song. He said, this dude looks like he plays Stardew Valley. Yeah, man, you have no idea who I am, Green Goblin. You know what I mean? I could be a real goblin in your life if you, mess with me in a wrong way. You have no idea what I am. Leo Lopez says, my cousin in Fresno actually showed me him. Oh, okay, so they introduced you to Stupid Young? Yeah, man. That's why there's a lot of Asian boys in Fresno. They're all affiliated with them, just like they're affiliated with people in, in 8th Street, Stockton. He says, Green Goblin, you trying to judge someone over their looks, you weird as fuck. Yeah, for real, he is a weirdo, man. You know what I mean? He has no idea who I am, but,
You know what? That's okay though. You know what? That's another thing that I kind of had to deal with when I first had to, you know, live in Stockton, right? You know, this is great. I should like do like a separate series on my time living in Stockton, right? You know what I mean? Because I could pull out some interesting stories about that. But obviously, you know, growing up, I was born in Libya, just like what you see on the description of my channel. You know, I was born in Libya. I was raised in New Jersey, and you know, and you know, I moved out to California, and you know, became West Coast certified. So, yeah, man. You know, I got a lot of interesting stories on that. He says, yeah. Kyrie, why we avoiding the Gervonta being goofy as fuck, ruining this fight for us? Leo Lopez says, Stockton, the hood, for real, respect for all the homies out there. Yeah, shout outs to that, man. All right, here's more on the on Inside Stockton.
What are the colors today? So, we'll see what the scene. I came across this Crip set while I was scrolling YouTube one day, and I found this artist that goes by Bangs, and he sounds like this.
Niggas ain't no coming back. Over now, I won't play niggas north there.
So Tommy G, yeah. This guy Bangs, right? Interesting thing about him, his dad. So he's half Filipino and half Mexican, right? You know, now this is a common thing, right? A lot of mixed breed guys that, you know, come out of like these, you know, different sections out here. So his dad was a Norteño, but him being half Filipino, you know, obviously he rolled with the Crips because of that, right? So he's from 8th Street, right? By the way, a neighborhood that I'm very familiar with. All right, so we'll just play a couple more minutes of this, and then I gotta head out. So.
I came to learn Bangs was arrested in early 2025 on a murder charge, so he wouldn't be able to meet up for an interview. But his younger cousin Ngannou, another up-and-coming rapper, said he could link up and he would bring a lot of guys outside. But knowing recently that Stockton police have been cracking down heavily on gangs, I was curious to see how many guys would show up and wondered if they'd be camera shy. And folks, for context, we were meeting with this crew at Matty Harrell Park, a stronghold in the area for Asian gangs. What's up, bro? Come on, bro. Good to meet you. How are you? Nice to meet you, bro. Nano, bro. This is a nice automobile, by the way. My Chevy Cruze is not stacking up to this. Oh, God. These my private drivers, man. Oh, yeah? You gotta keep an escort around, man. They got their license. They got their CCWs around here, man. Okay, tell people, where are we right now? We at Matty Harrell Park, for real. The home of the slums. Oh, God. This where it all started, for real. Where's Stockton known for? We really blackballed, for real. We ain't get a shed of light till recently, like, I want to say, like, 2018 to now, probably, when Nell first kicked off with the rap shit. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna give a few niggas credit. Hey, 5-0. Everybody, look, they...
All right, Charles. So if you want to see the rest of that, check out Tommy G, Inside Stockton's Most Dangerous Crip Hood. Leo Lopez says, the only thing I love about Cali is everyone is clicked up in some way out here in the north. Blacks and browns don't really get along like that. Oh, the only thing I love about Cali is that everyone is clicked up in some type of way. Yeah, you're right about that. Out here in the north, blacks and browns don't really get along like that. Yeah, you're right. Here too, well, you know what? I think in Northern California, there's more of an alliance between, you know, black and brown. Obviously, if you run with the Asians and run with, you know, Samoans and Polynesians, that's black, right? The Mexicans are their own thing. But in Southern California, there is a huge conflict between black and brown, similar to yours in the north, in the Wisconsin area. But yeah, you're right, man. Everyone out here is clicked up in some kind of way, whether you're an affiliate or whether you're not, you know, or whether you really are a full-blown gang member, right? But either way, yeah, everyone is clicked up, and it's all about strength in numbers. That's why gangs are a problem in California, because everyone is clicked up in some kind of way, and it is generational on top of that. So with that in mind, guys, that is all that I have for you on this one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been really fun. Been, you know, just really diverse. Went on to different topics and onto different things, and it's kind of how I like it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one, inshallah.